Escudero. She has promised to give the opening prayers today, sir.
Go ahead, Escudero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the holy presence of God. Dear God, our Lord and Savior, as we start another regular committee meeting, we again humbly ask for your loving presence and guidance, especially in these difficult times. Let your heavenly light shine upon us and grant us wisdom that we may see things from your perspective. Let your Spirit guide our words and deeds and give us the strength to act according to your will. Keep us from spending our efforts on what is temporal and cannot last. Whatever plans you have for us, Lord, help us to be obedient and put our absolute trust in you. Finally, dear Lord, we thank you for all the blessings you have showered upon us and fervently pray that you continue to protect our legislators, resource persons, guests, and all participants in this committee meeting. All this we ask, Lord, in your holy and mighty name. Amen.
Thank you, DS Escudero. First on the item is the calling of the roll. Or do I hear a motion to dispense with the calling of the roll?
Mr. Chair, I finish with the calling of the roll.
Second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Okay, the motion being seconded. There are no objections. The calling of the roll is hereby dispensed with, hearing none. So we proceed to the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of the committee. May I also know if any member will make a move to either read the minutes of the last meeting or dispense of the reading of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we dispense of the reading of the previous meeting, and I also move that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting as well.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion has been seconded. The motion is approved. Now we proceed to for the COMSEC to acknowledge all the members of the committee and any other members of Congress who may be in attendance. And thereafter, our distinguished guests and resource speakers. COMSEC, you may proceed.
Mr. Chair, good morning. We would like to acknowledge and welcome our members who are present via Zoom. We have the Honorable Evelina Escudero, the Honorable Adrian Evcas, Honorable Sergio Dago, Honorable Jose Gay Padiernos, the Honorable Rosemary Baby Arenas, Honorable Teodorico Haresco, Honorable Irene Saulog, Honorable Jose Lito Atienza Jr., Honorable Onyx Risologo, Honorable Ron Salo, our Vice Chair, Honorable Dante Marcoleta, and Vice Chair Ace Barbers, and Honorable Amante Madba. We also have the Honorable Franz Castro, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, if we miss anyone, we're very sorry. Can you please speak into the mic and identify yourself, Your Honors? Sir,
Congressman Arnie Fentevella.
Mr. Chair, if it pleases the body, we'd also like to acknowledge our resource persons. May I, sir?
Yes, I have COMSEC.
We would like to welcome from the DepEd, Yusek Diosdado San Antonio. We have Yusek Nepomuceno Malaluan, Yusek Annalyn Sevilla. Welcome po. From the NCCT or National Children's Television. We have Miss Desideria Mans Atienza, Danilo Mutia, and From COA, we have Attorney Erwin Lapitan, Legal Affairs Division. Mr. Job Aguirre, he's the supervising auditor for DepEd 1 and 2. And Ms. Precious Joy Borromeo, also from COA. And from the National Book Development Council, we have Chairman Dante Francis Ang II. And from the private sector, we have Mr. Dean George Bocobo.
Mr. Chair, Consec, si Yusek Umali ata.
And,
DepEd Yusek Umali.
I'm sorry, sir. And also Yusek Umali from DepEd. Welcome po. Did we miss anyone? Can you please speak into the mic so you can be acknowledged properly? Sir, that's all for now, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you were about your. Can you continue acknowledging our guest and our resource speakers?
Sir, okay, sir. Also from the Department of Information and Communication Technology, we have Mr. Omar Sana, Mr. Arnold De Castro, and Ms. Mina Peralta. Your Honor.
Thank you, Consec. May I ask everyone in attendance if everybody has been properly acknowledged? If not, you're at liberty to please open your mic and make yourselves.
Congressman Arnie Fentevella, Mr. Chair.
Congressman Arnie Fentevella, yes, acknowledge. Any other members and or guests who have not been properly acknowledged, please say so, inform the body so that we will be properly acknowledged. And
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Charisse Aquino Tugade, Executive Director of the National Book Development Board.
welcome, Mr. Grade, National Book Development Board. Yes. How are you related to Secretary Tugade po?
Oh, he is my father-in-law po.
Okay, okay. Kasi may correction tayo ngayon sa ano, kay Secretary Tugade. Okay. And anybody else who has not been properly acknowledged? Hearing none, so everybody's been properly acknowledged. And the okay. Today's hearing is based on resolution that that I filed with the House and which was referred to this committee, resolution number 1670. Tama, Consec?
Yes, Your Honor. It's HR 67.
Well, specifically, calling for a hearing in aid of legislation regarding the alleged COA findings on the DepEd's various learning materials, the errors contained therein, as well as some other observations that the COA audit of 2018 and 2019, I think, on the other affairs of the DepEd involving learning materials, their storage, their state, the quality, and other concerns. No? This is I would like to emphasize that this hearing is not specifically geared towards pinpointing any or fault finding for that matter, but the members of this committee would like to be of help to the department if will be enlightened, and then so that we can also be of assistance in any way, to the DepEd and its bureaus and or attached agencies for the proper implementation of existing policies and or maybe get some inputs for future reference of Congress to formulate laws that may be relevant to the improvement of our educational services. Um, Considering that we used the DepEd report, may I now ask first the OSEC Villar, I think, no, who will make a presentation first on the right ComSec, no? Si OSEC Villar will be the first to one.
Mr. Chair, I think DepEd said it's Yusek Malaluan, Nepo Malaluan, will make the presentation for DepEd.
Yusek Malaluan. Okay. Yusek Malaluan, are you there?
Mr. Chair, if you may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Yusek Umali.
Opo, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat at sa lahat po ng mga kagalang-galang na miyembro po ng committee pong ito. Bali makita nyo po Mr. Chair, meron pong ilang pangalawang kalihim po na naririto po ngayon. So meron pong mother presentation na gagawin po ng aming Chief of Staff, Yusek Nepo Malaluan. Ngunit pagdating po doon sa question and answer po, depende po sa katanungan, ay mayroon po kami mga Yusek, ASEC at mga director po na naririto po ngayon para tumugon po sa inyong katanungan. Marami pong salamat, Chair Bonito po. Salamat po.
Thank you,
Mr.
Yusek.
Chair.
That clears up Kwan, our procedures, no? So, one presentation at a time, and then
Mr. Chair.
yes, Kong Marcoleta. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I know why the DepEd will still need a presentation? I think your resolution, as well as the material points raised by the audit observation memo are enough materials for us to begin, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Well, I must agree, no? Because very specific po yung ating yung resolution natin, ano?
Yes, Mr. Chair, your resolution raised 3 specific issues. And I think questions are really necessary for the DepEd to be able to inform this committee on why these issues came about. I think and I believe that the COA report is very solid, Mr. Chair, specifically for years 2018 and 2019 as you identified in your resolution.
Yes, Diaz Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Yusek Umali, no? For Kwan, to reply to your what you said earlier, I think yun na nga, very specific yung resolution. And we would like to concentrate on that. And maybe the presentation that you are planning to do, you can submit it to the committee for distribution to the members, so that we will not be, it will not waste, I mean not waste, no? Take up most of our time. We just, we want to start with the things that we mentioned in the resolution that was filed, which is the cause of this. The reason
Very good suggestion, Mr. Chair. Very good.
Mr. Chair, if you may.
Yes. Yes.
Opo. Opo. Naunawaan po namin yung sinasabi po ni Kong Dan patungkol po dun sa bakit pa po kami magrepresenta. Pero nais lamang po naming sabihin, Mr. Chair, that consistent with your June 7, 2021 letter po, ni-require nyo po kaming mag-prepare ng 20-minute PowerPoint. So yun lamang po ay amin pong sinunod at tinugunan, at may mga ilan po kayong mga issues po na tinukoy in that letter po, Mr. Chair, na dapat po ay generally masasako po ng PowerPoint. Yun lamang po, pero naintindihan po namin yung punto po ng ating Kong Dan at ng ating Chair. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I may also Mr. Chair, may I be recognized? This is Undersecretary Malaluan.
Yes, you recognize Secretary Malaluan.
Yes, Honorable Chair. The PowerPoint presentation actually addresses the issues as is that was given to us. So, in other words, they do not go beyond the specific questions that were asked to us, and so this constitutes our preliminary response to the issues as outlined in the Honorable Chair's resolution and notice. So kung kami po ay pahihintulutan na maipresenta ito, ito po ang aming pangunang sagot doon sa mga issues na binanggit ninyo, at pagkatapos nun ay maaring tumugon kami sa mga specific na mga questions pa ng committee ito kung pahihintulutan po ng Honorable Chair.
Yes, I guess the Congressman Diaz Marcoleta has a point, no? Because your presentation, as much as we appreciate your preparations, we will have time for that. But some of our members, I think, will be attending some other hearings and would like to prioritize hearing the specific answers that are being asked based on the resolution that was filed, no? Which I would like to reiterate herein regarding various errors on its learning materials and modules as the COA has observed, no? So may I ask the DepEd representative who might be able to present, kasi specific naman yung ano po natin, ano, yung we want to know whether this has been addressed properly and that it is not a continuing problem by the DepEd, considering that the DepEd is in charge of educating our youth. And if I might add, the Philippines not so long ago kino-consider po na very well educated ang mga Pilipinos, ano, but then there's been a general observation nga na medyo nagkakaroon tayo ng decline in that area. So we want to find out because of these various errors in learning materials which were observed dun nga sa previous COA audit up to 2019. Naayos na ba po, at saka considering na meron kayong 3-step process for checking the quality, quantity of these learning materials, bakit hindi po natutugunan ng husto ito in relation to the organizational setup of the DepEd as well as the budget that Congress has allocated in the tune of 520 something billion, I think. So, DS Marcoleta.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, in the first issue that was raised in your resolution, which found various errors in learning material, this is the clear circumvention of Republic Act 8047. In the audit report, Mr. Chair, COA found that the DepEd in producing the learning materials clearly circumvented Section 10 and 11 of Republic Act 8047. Mr. Chair, this is a very old law. 26 years ago, we enacted this law to simply advise DepEd to phase out its responsibility of producing books and learning materials and to let public sector publishers to do the job. That law specifically ordered DepEd to concentrate on curriculum development and to already avoid producing, manufacturing, and procuring books. That was a very clear order by that particular law, Mr. Chair. But 26 years later, DepEd is still doing this. Ito yung naging pinaka-problema natin, Mr. Chair. When I pointed this out 1.5 or 2 years ago, DepEd is still continuing to produce books. And now when I pointed out that they are already circumventing the law or violating the law, they shifted to modules, Mr. Chair, thinking that the modules are no longer books. But the COA also found out that modules and books are similarly situated. Kahit nasabihin nila that the modules are 30 pages or below, kasi ang definition ng textbook, Mr. Chair, under the UNESCO, kailangan 42 pages yan. But just the same, gumawa rin pa sila ng learning materials and they called it self-learning materials or SLMs. Ang gusto kong itanong sa kanila, Mr. Chair, why is DepEd continuing to poke its nose into the production and publishing of books when the law clearly ordered them already to phase out that particular function? 1 year, I think about a year ago, Mr. Chair, during our Zoom meeting, DepEd already promised to me that they will revert the National Book Development Board to the office of the President. As we spoke then 1 year ago, they said that there was already a letter addressed to Malacanang that they will transfer the National Book Development Board to Malacanang. Pero ang nangyari, Mr. Chair, they did not only lie to me, but I think they lied to Congress. Kasi palagi nilang sinasabi to, nandyan si Sec Malaluan, nandyan siguro si Yusek Malaluan, nandyan si Yusek Rebsi. Pinag-usapan na namin yan na itatransfer na nila yung National Book Development Board sa office ng President instead na ngayon na nasa DepEd. Hindi nila ginagawa yon, Mr. Chair. There is a continuing violation. Ito pong mga mali-maling mga libro na yan po ay natuklasan na ni Mr. Kalipogo noong pa. Wala rin silang ginawang pagkukorek dyan, Mr. Chair. Kung ano-ano yung katwiran nila, kung mababasa ninyo dito sa kanilang ginawang reply, na meron daw silang ginawang mga teacher manuals and so on and so forth. Mr. Chair, tama yung inyong resolution eh. Ito pong mga librong ito ay ipinamigay na sa mga iba't ibang mga eskwelahan noong 2015 pa. Ngayon, napansin po ng COA at napansin ng inyong resolution, 2018 ito, paano nila ikinurek pa noong 2018? Ito po'y ginamit na ng mga estudyante natin 2015 pa or 6 years ago. Sa makatwid, ang mga mali-mali na natuklasan ni Mr. Antonio Calipogo at iba't ibang mga principal at mga estudyante at mga teachers, nandun pa rin po yun eh. They did not even submit to Congress any corrective measure that DepEd did para lang makita natin na itong natuklasan po ninyong various errors na to which was verified and found by COA itself sa dalawang magkasunod na kanilang audit observation. Hanggang ngayon po, nananatili po ito. Tama kayo. Wala pong ginawa na i-correct ito. Sa totoo lang, Mr. Chair, ito pong 254 million na value ng mali-maling librong ito. This is a tip of the iceberg. Meron pong kasama ito na audit report din ng COA involving ito pong tinatawag nating communication information technology packages. Ito po, billion po ito, Mr. Chair. Na nakita rin po ng COA yung inefficiency, marami pong hindi na i-deliver, yung mga iba dineliver pero mali-mali din. Talaga pong napakarami ng kanilang pagkukulang tungkol dito. Mabuti na lamang at meron kayong resolution, Mr. Chair. Gusto ko pong itanong muna, bakit po ang DepEd hanggang ngayon ayaw po nilang iwanan yung National Book Development Board? 1 taon na't mahigit na po ang kanilang ipinangako. Bakit hanggang ngayon pinipilit pa nila na mag-develop ng libro at saka mga manuals, samantalang ang sabi po ng batas ay hindi na po nila pananagutan yan? Pwede po bang sagutin yan ni Yusek Malaluan? Bakit po sila nagsinungaling? 2 years ago, pinangako po nila na ibabalik nila sa Office of the President yung NBDB, National Book Development Board. Siya dapat po ang gumagawa ng mga libro at mga learning materials. Pero hanggang ngayon, ay sila pa rin po ang nagpipilit na gumawa. Bakit po?
I would like to remind everybody to address the chair if you want to speak or reply, so that anybody can be properly acknowledged first. Now, DS Marcoleta, on your queries, I would just like to yung particular issue mo, I think we will get to that, no? But this chair would like to first concentrate on which is related, no? Which on the errors in the learning materials. Kasama naman sa ano niyo po yun yung mga mali-mali doon, ano. I would like to call any representative from the DepEd to specifically answer first the issues that I raised in the resolution. Anybody from the DepEd? DS Escudero? Or
Mr. Chair, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
yes, Yusek Mali.
So yung tanong po yung textbook errors po ba? Mr. Chair, yung po muna, hindi po ba? Yung po yung gusto niyo pong matugunan?
Yung sa textbook errors.
Meron pong sagot ang kagawaran. Parang malalim po itong napag-usapan sa sagot po sa COA audit report. So if we may request either our Director Aris, if not our Yusek Nepo.
Yusek Tony, I can respond preliminarily.
Okay, thank you po. Thank you po.
Honorable Chair, if I may, but before, may we extend our...
May you wait to be recognized and just...
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Sino yung nag-ano ngayon? Nagsasalita?
Mr. Chair, if our Chief of Staff, Yusek Nepo Malaluan, be recognized, please, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yusek Malaluan, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Ito pong nabanggit dito sa inyong resolution patungkol dito sa 2018
Mr. Chair, there's something wrong with the audio.
Yeah, Yusek Malaluan, may I interrupt you for a while?
Various
Yusek Malaluan, may I interrupt for a while? Medyo yung audio nyo hindi Yusek Malaluan.
Pag-mute mo na lang muna, Siguro Chair.
Oo nga nasaan ba siya?
can mute him, Mr. Chair, in the meantime.
Comsec, pwedeng pa unmute na lang muna, Comsec.
Comsec,
Mr. Chair, yes.
Kasi ang sama ng signal. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I be heard now? Can I be?
Nagsasalita, Yusek Malaluan, no? Your audio wasn't so good kanina. Everybody could not understand you, no? Can you check your signal? Comsec?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, can you see from the DepEd, can anybody else answer, or is it Yusek Malaluan? Medyo malabo nga yung signal kanina eh. I know, Joe.
Mr. Chair, if our USEC DADS San Antonio be allowed to identify from our curriculum and instruction strand to respond. But before that, Mr. Chair, I'm now referring to an official supposedly submission that we should have previously submitted to Congress about our response at that time on the supposed textbook errors. Doon po, Mr. Chair, ay hinimay po namin yung isa-isa yung supposed textbook errors na natukoy po ng COA at ng iba pa pong mga partners po natin sa iba't ibang sektor, kasama po kay Ginoong Kalipogo. At nakita po namin ito at bagamat hindi po tayo nagbibigay ng dahilan, gina-justify po itong mga kamalian pong natukoy na ito, ngunit nais po naming sabihin na ang karamihan po, I'm now reading our response to COA on this, if I may quote, while there may be errors such as spelling, it is our humble view that many of the words and phrases considered by the audit team to be notably erroneous are matters of usage and editorial preference. On technical errors, for example, where meron pong mga parang tinutukoy na mali daw po yung halimbawa, Mr. Chair, yung water sa thermometer dahil hindi nga po naman daw tubig ito. Tama naman po yun. Mercury po yung nasa loob. Nabibigay lang po ako halimbawa, Mr. Chair, yung mga natukoy po. Kung ano po yung ibig sabihin po namin ng maliban po sa spelling, wala pong kaduda-duda ay dapat po itama yon. Pero yung mga tingin po natin ay tila substantial error ay it's a matter of editorial preference and usage po ang aming sinasabi. Halimbawa nga po yung tubig na nakikita po sa loob ng thermometer, hindi daw dapat po sabihin tubig ito, kundi mercury. Parang ganun po, isang halimbawa. Ang gusto lang namin pong puntuhin ay sa puntong iyon, we're not after to teach our children na kung ano po ba talaga yung likido na nakikita po doon sa loob. Ang gusto lamang po naming sabihin ay may liquid like thing inside and we just use the word tubig but not literally meaning that that's H2O na tubig. Wala pong ganong impresyon at ang nagamit lang marahil ay tubig. Mga ganun pong mga halimbawa at meron pa pong mga iba. Nagbigay po kami ng detailed answer here. But if we may ask, if USEC Nepo is okay na po, USEC Nepo, Mr. Chair, with the permission of the Chair, please.
Yes. Yeah, before we recognize USEC Nepo, relative to what you were talking about, USEC Kumadi, yung likido nga nasa thermometer, no? Even that, well, that's minor, I suppose. No? But then again, the DepEd being in charge of educating our as much and as big an organization and as old as an organization as you are, the quality of learning materials to the very exact. Unfortunately, you're tasked with educating our youth and everybody else. Any trivial, however trivial it might be to some people, information or the details may have a long-lasting effect on the intellect or knowledge of our children. No? Pag na-impress sa kanila yon. That's why, as I said, unfortunately, you're held up high insofar as standards are concerned. But we understand for some minor errors that may have been committed or may be committed by the various people involved in developing our learning materials. No? So yung likido na sinasabi niyo sa thermometer, I understand, pwede hong magano yun. What we're after is the correction or corrective measures. That's only one example.
Mr. Chair,
It's been not only confined to that yung likido na nasa thermometer, no? Pero yung mga yung corrective actions na ginagawa natin. Because these were noted, the various errors, and then we're after yung mga corrective actions natin, we want to be assured. Everybody wants to be assured.
Opo. Mr. Chair, if you may po, Mr. Chair, so ang punto po natin doon, Mr. Chair, is paliban doon sa mga maling spelling po, natukoy naman po dating lahat, Mr. Chair, and I will request our USEC Dad San Antonio to share the corrective measures. Ang point po namin, Mr. Chair, is yung mga ibang po na po tulad doon, Mr. Chair, kasi we would like to say, ang nakalagay po ay tubig sa loob ng thermometer. We would like to say, Mr. Chair, na strictly speaking, they may argue na dapat hindi nilagay tubig, dapat mercury. Pero hindi naman po yun yung aming, hindi naman po yun yung lesson na ang ibig mong sabihin baka naman po walang pagkakamali doon. May po na rin po, Mr. Chair, about ang retina ay parang kurtina na tumatakip sa mata. At may mga komento po na kung ito po'y kurtina ay hindi na po dapat nakakita. Ngunit hindi naman po yun ang intensyon. Ng kung sino man po yung author na nito ay pinapakita lang parang may protective material sa mata. Yun po yung konsepto ng kurtina. At hindi po natin, ang point natin, Mr. Chair, ay hindi po lahat nung nakitang mga tila mali ay pwede po talagang ituring na mali. Maliban po dun sa mga incorrect spellings. And we would like to now ask our USEC Dad's Chair, klarong-klaro po, Chair, kung ano po yung ginawa ng DepEd. Ang isa po rito, Mr. Chair, at that time, kasi pinag-usapan po natin yung mali nung panahon na yon, nag-utos po kagad ang ating Ma'am Leonor Liling Magtolis Briones ng isang team, tingnan po kaagad ito, and then naglabas po kami ng parang mga 1 or 2 pages sa lahat po, among others, corrective measures, para po matukoy po itong mga sinasabing mga maling ito. With the permission of the Chair, may we ask our USEC Dads or the Director concerned to elaborate on the corrective measures that we have done po, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Mr. Chair.
USEC,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, who's
Mr. Chair, am I recognized already, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Congressman Dago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With all due respect to Yosek Umali, I would like to manifest for the record, hindi po katanggap-tanggap sa representasyong ito yung paliwanag ninyo sa mali, like yung example na Mercury. Kayo lang po ang nakakaalam doon sa ibig ninyong sabihin. In layman's understanding po, in management, in reporting or in writing, kailangan po na ang nagbasa noong report mo at yung sinusulat mo ay nakakaintindi na hindi kailangan ipaliwanag nung sumulat. Kaya for the record, I would like to reiterate, hindi po katanggap-tanggap yung explanation ninyo ng mga, kung ang ibig ninyong sabihin ay yung in-explain ninyo, bakit hindi niyo sinulat sa ganong pagkasulat? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, we accept dahil
recognize Yusek Kumali, no? Sandali lang.
opo,
I'd like to kuhan muna, no? Si Congressman Fortun. Is Congressman Fortun related dun sa ano para isang sagot ni Yusek Kumali, no? If possible.
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's actually related, Mr. Chair. Naintindihan po natin yung paliwanag ng DepEd na minsan matter of editorial preference naman talaga yung pagsusulat. Kaya lang siguro mas mahalaga na isipin ng mga manunulat natin na ang mas mahalaga ay yung pagkakaintindi ng ating readers rather than our own editorial preference. If our styling would create confusion, at alam naman natin, siguro naman yung nagsulat ng mercury, no, yung thermometer, I'm pretty sure that the writer was certain that hindi naman mercury ang laman yung likido na nandyan sa loob ng thermometer ay hindi naman tubig, no, kundi mercury. The generic term would be the likido. And likido can take many forms. So pwedeng mercury, pwedeng tubig, etc. Kaya yung editorial preference naman sana, i-suit naman natin doon sa audience natin, sa readers natin. So ang tingin ko ang balance dito ay mas mahalagang tingnan kung ano kaya ang pagkakaintindi ng potential readers natin rather than our own editorial preference ang bibigyan natin ng priority dito. So ganoon lang naman kasimple, Mr. Chair. Kung tingin naman natin mag-create ng confusion, huwag na natin istilo sa ganong paraan ang ating mga articles or ating mga textbooks so that it would not create confusion. We should remember that our readers are grade schoolers, no? Diba, high school, at hindi malayong magkakaroon ng confusion kung hindi klaro yung pagkakasulat natin.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, in addition, kung Fortun, no, the DepEd should always remember these are educational materials, and as you said, dapat klaro ang mga nakalagay doon, at para hindi magkaroon ng confusion, and there's no further clarification kung yung between the likido and the mercury, pwede naman may magandang gawa ng magandang statement yun. Go ahead, Yusek Kumali.
Mr. Chair, we appreciate all the interventions of our Honorable Sergio and our Kong Lau po, and those are all heard loud and clear. Ang gusto ko lamang naman po kanina, Kong Serge, if you may po, ay pinapahatid lang naman po namin sa inyo dahil hindi nga po ako yung nagsulat po noon, pero kung ano po yung pinagmumulan nung mga tao pong na nagsulat po nito. Pero napakalinaw po nung mga sinabi po nila, Mr. Chair, kung ano po ang maaaring dating nito dun sa bumabasa. Klarong-klaro po yun, Mr. Chair. And we appreciate all those comments. Mahalaga po siguro ngayon, Mr. Chair, na maibahagi po ano po ba yung vetting process na pinagdadaanan ng ating mga aklat pagkatapos po maipaliwanag yung corrective measures na ginawa po ng DepEd dito po sa mga tinutukoy na textbook errors. So I now request, Mr. Chair, if our USEC, Dad San Antonio, who may identify our director of a bureau to talk about the queries raised. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Yusek Kumali. Again, no, dito sa ating kwan, may I ask Comsec, were all the members of this committee provided a copy of the COA audit report wherein certain specific
Yes, Mr. Chair, we provided a link to the document, sir. We gave the documents through their official email.
Kasi nakalagay po doon sa ano, yung sagot na ay yung ano na doon sa COA report at saka merong parang we were able to download also some of the replies of DepEd, no. Parang yung yung vetting process nito mga learning materials, 3-stage process if I'm not mistaken. So in spite of that,
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. With your indulgence, can we recognize the newly arrived members of the committee, sir?
go ahead.
Thank you, sir. We would like to recognize Representative Sharon Garin. Welcome po, ma'am. And she's
Morning, Chair.
And also Vice Chairperson Elandro Madrona, the Honorable Lawrence Fortun, Honorable Alfred De Los Santos, Honorable Sara Elago, and the Honorable Maricel Naga. Welcome po. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Welcome, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Chair.
morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Chairman. Chairman, patanong when the time
Yes,
comes.
we have a chat on this if I may request all members of the committee to sign up with the COMSEC, and COMSEC for you to inform the chair who is online to ask questions, no, among all the members, para hindi tayo sabay-sabay and then nobody will be given preference. First come, first serve, yun ang rule natin sa ano, kung sino may mga question dito sa pinag-uusapan natin dito sa committee ngayon. Well, I'm very happy that we have very good attendance among the honorable congressmen, and I would now ask Comsec, who is online to ask questions.
Mr. Chair, the Honorable Sharon Garin, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. I'm sorry I came in late. I just came from another meeting. I wanted to ask ng Yusek Mali. I'm not sure if he's the correct person. As I understand, kasi hindi lang naman editorial yung mga errors na nakikita, di ba? In fact, in the net, there are factual errors, computational errors, format errors, printing errors, typo, grammar, syntax. Are this addressed, sir? Kasi hindi naman minor yan. I mean, minor sa atin, pero pag sa bata na, starting to learn. Are this, you're aware of all these things, sir?
In addition, katulad nung yung owl, ano nga ba sinasabi?
Yung ano ba yun, ostrich?
Ostrich.
Ostrich daw, pero owl yung picture. Mga ganon. I mean, those are, have we been correcting that DepEd?
Check, Mali.
Mr. Chair.
Right.
Kasi I don't like na dina-downplay natin na ano ba yung tawag doon kanina? Editorial?
Preference.
That's not correct. So, ano yun? Editorial preference lang daw. I tend to disagree because there's more than editorial preference.
This should be factual, yung mga
yeah. Di naman, Chair, editorial preference yung owl sa ostrich, no?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you po kay Kong Sharon pong katanungan. Mr. Chair, kung okay na po si Yusek Nepo po namin, meron po siyang general na gusto pong sabihin at masutugunan po yung sagot po ni Kong Sharon. And then our curriculum and instruction can now specifically address all these issues po, Mr.
Chair,
Chair.
para mabilis lang, no? Para ma-address na rin ni Sinen, Asek.
Go ahead.
Kasi the
If I may-
findings, in the findings kasi Yusek Tony, di ba? Once you find errors, then you find the source. And the source can be locally developed, can be unknown sources, na quality assured na, no? Lumabas na sana. So, I mean, can we have a breakdown of all this kung saan ang source of the errors and what kind of errors and how do you address this?
Before answering that, no, may I ask also all the other members to prepare your questions and let's try to remember the other questions or the previous questions that have been asked so that hindi masyadong nag-uulit. On the query of Congressman Sharon, may I ask the DepEd representative, Yusek Mali, to answer or whoever you may authorize. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can we ask our curriculum and instruction team, please, Mr. Chair, with your permission, if Yusek DepEd's can either respond or ask a director to directly answer the question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, good morning again. DepEd's San Antonio po, from the Curriculum and Instruction strand of the Department of Education. Una po, yung previous question on what we did with the errors identified in the 2018 and 2019 COA reports, we prepared notes to the teachers, which were uploaded in our LR portal in the Department of Education. But we've not been able to prepare complete notes to teachers because when COVID-19 came, we had to prioritize our work in like monitoring and developing the self-learning modules. Yung pong tanong tungkol sa breakdown of the errors, may I also mention that the locally developed materials for 2020, from October 2020 to June 2021, we had, there was a report. We created po an error watch that actually allows us to monitor, get reports of the alleged errors, and so that we could have the chance to validate the errors. So the first thing we do is validate. And for October 2020 to June 2021, we've been able to gather 163 reported errors, 104 of which are locally developed materials, 23 are from unknown sources, meaning we cannot really identify kung saan po galing yun. One is from a developed material from private publishers, and then one from a textbook of the Department of Education, 5 cited in the DepEd TV episodes, and 29 are from those reviewed by the central office, 163. Of these 163, after our validation, we have established that there are indeed 155 errors reported. 100 of the 104 locally developed materials were found to be containing errors, and pag locally developed po yung materials, we refer the matter in terms of the issuance of the errata to the unit that developed it, meaning the regional office or the division office or the school. For the unknown sources, kasama po dito yung nabanggit kanina ni Congresswoman Karin na ostrich, na owl, hindi po yan malocate. Wala pong nakakapagpakita sa amin na nasa DepEd yan o ginawa yan ng DepEd sa alinmang level. Yun nga po ang risk naman na the social media would like immediately make it viral at nalambas na po yung DepEd na mali-mali daw when in fact hindi naman siya sarili ng DepEd. And then sa yung pong sa privately developed, isa rin po sa DepEd textbook, isa sa DepEd TV 5, sa Central Office Reviewed 25 po. Ano po ang ginagawa namin pagka na-determine po namin at na-validate na mali ito, we immediately issue errata so that the teachers and yes, our fellow teachers would be able to make use of them. Ano naman po ang mga uri ng error? Factual errors 37, yung pong syempre kung mali talaga yung katotohanang pinapadala dyan. Computational errors 11, format yung how the font and the illustration should be 25, printing errors including color and sorting of pages 20 instances, spelling and punctuation 7, typographical errors 8, grammar and syntax 5, delivery error, this one refers to the DepEd TV episodes 2, gender issues and human rights issues 10, and others like values with no right answer, suitability of content, wrong choices, and alleged electioneering 30, for a total of 155 errors found and validated by our team. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, one last lang. I know you have many people wanting to ask questions, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, kung...
It's okay. It's disappointing. 155 is substantial, ano? And I think this being a committee on public accounts, it has to be like, what did we do to correct this and not let this happen again? And one topic I'm particular about is yung unknown sources. Sir, paano niyo address yun? I mean, that's 25%. 11 out of the 40, for example, are unknown sources ang errors, sir. Di ba nakakatakot yan? That something nakakalusot yan that hindi nyo alam kung saan nanggaling, how did it happen? I mean, I would understand that you are able to correct locally sourced errors or kung saan man galing na textbook, but unknown sources, sir, how do you make that number smaller? I think that's one thing that's very alarming, sir. Dapat hindi nyo pala alam kung saan galing yung problem. How do you solve it? Yun lang yung last question po, Mr. Chair. Salamat.
Mr. Chair, pwede po magpaliwanag?
Sandali po. Kung Sharon, in relation to that,
yeah.
I would like to ask who was the speaker earlier? Yusek Kwan?
Yeah. Yung nakasmile.
Can you again enumerate we're talking about learning materials, no? Can you enumerate again yung mga outside developers, regional, local developers, ganun ba yung mga learning materials nyo? May in-enumerate ka kanina ng courses?
Yes po. Mr. Chair, can I now provide a response? Can I provide a response na po?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay po. As mentioned, the sources of our learning materials po are the locally developed ones. This refers to those developed by the regional offices, division offices, and even schools. Some of them are learning activity sheets. The unknown sources, this also answers the concern of Congresswoman Garin po. They are actually not being used in the Department of Education. They have been posted on social media, but we could not find where they are being used. That's why while we share the concern of Congresswoman Garin that it's really alarming if these are the ones happening in the school, when we validated these errors, 23 of them, some have been, like sabi ko nga po, went viral, including that one of owl and ostrich. They have not been found to be used in the Department of Education. They were attempts perhaps by some people who would want to also say that, yes, DepEd is using erroneous learning resources. But as we've tried to validate them, we could not find a school using those SLMs cited in the 23 cases. The other one is developed by a private publisher with only one. And then the DepEd textbooks, one error as well. And the DepEd TV po, 5. And those that have been reviewed by the Central Office, 25.
Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized and to add something po.
Go ahead, Yusek Kumali.
Opo. Bali po ang klaro po sanang nais nga pong ipahatid ni Yusek DepEd's ay hindi po lahat ng nakikita po nating mga mali supposedly ng mga aklat na ginawa ng DepEd ay talagang may aklat na ganoon na inilabas ang DepEd.
Na ginawa ng DepEd.
Hindi po yan gawa ng DepEd. At ang hinihingi po, hindi ginawa o di natin alam kung may ganun talagang aklat. Nobody knows kasi hinanap nga po, yun po yung punto ni Yusek Dads. At kung mayroon po, dahil talaga naman pong we want to do better naman, Chair Bonito po, at Kong Sharon, kung talaga pong may mali ang DepEd, ganun po talaga nagkamali, itatama po namin. Pero yung mga halimbawang natukoy po ngayon ni Yusek Dads, yung OWL, yung po yung walang ganung libro ang DepEd. At kung may makita po kung anong grade level, ay sana po maiparating sa amin. Pero yun po yung puntong sinasabi ni Yusek Dads. At actually, Chair Bonito, marami pa pong lumalabas sa internet na kaya pong himayin ni Yusek Dads na hindi po yun DepEd books or baka private school at may ginawa na po kami. Ang pangalawang punto po natin, Chair Bonito, ay magbibigay po kami nung sinasabi po ni Yusek Dads na mga naiulat na mali at alin ba dito yung sa DepEd po talaga at ano po ba yung parang gawa-gawa lamang at hindi po sa DepEd talaga. At ano po yung aming corrective measure na ginawa. Salamat po, Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair.
so much. We will expect that yung listahan na sinasabi nyo will be provided to the committee members, not necessarily to be presented here, no? Para
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Dante.
Kung Dante, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, while it is very convenient for Yusek Dads and Yusek Tony Umali to say that these are the books that did not come from DepEd. They came from unknown sources. That's very, very convenient. But did they bother to check where these sources of I would say erroneous books come from? Did they bother to check, Mr. Chair? It's very convenient on their part to say that hindi galing sa amin yan. Ibang sources yan. So, gano'n na lamang ba yun? Paano namin malalaman na talaga namang hindi sa inyo? Kasi nung mag-check kayo, hindi nyo malaman kung merong eskwelang gumagamit noon. Merong bang eskwelang nga amin na ginamit nga nila yung maling libro? Siyempre wala na eh. But I think it is incumbent upon the DepEd, Mr. Chair, to at least bother themselves to look into that. Pero wala eh. Hanggang ngayon eh. Sasabihin lang nila sa atin, very, very convenient, na hindi po sa amin yan. At the very least, Mr. Chair, we should have expected them. Nag-imbestiga sana kayo. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Marcoleta, I think we also have a guest here, si Mr. Calipego, who seems to be the parang pinaka watchman ng DepEd ba, if I may say.
Mr. Chair.
So,
in addition,
yes, who's this?
Mr. Chair, just in addition to what Congressman Marcoleta have said, before the DepEd will answer.
Yes, go ahead, Congressman, the DS Grace. You.
Mr. Chair, I would also like to ask DepEd, so does that mean to say that any school could use any book printed by anybody not sanctioned by DepEd? If that's the case, Mr. Chair, is that allowed?
Oh, then you just denied that it did not come from the DepEd. That's very convenient. So all the learning materials that are being used by schools, public, specifically public, is under the control of the DepEd, right?
Mr. Chair, yes, definitely, Mr. Chair po, under the law, we have control and supervision over all public schools. Reasonable supervision as provided in the Constitution over private schools. including non-DepEd schools po na tinatawag, Mr. Chair, na public pa rin, pero yung nasa state universities and na nag-offer ng basic education, Mr. Chair, meron po kaming power of supervision po doon, but not control. Mr. Chair, mabilis lamang po, Mr. Chair. We really...
But did you check, Yusek? Did you check? If you did, what happened?
Mr. Chair?
When you say power of supervision, but not control, so you're being able to supervise if there are any anomalies there, but then what then? Kung wala kang control, what?
Opo. By law, Mr. Chair, and by jurisprudence or mga decided cases po ng Supreme Court, Mr. Chair, I don't want to sound too technical about this, but that's the way to explain it po, Mr. Chair, na considered laws of the land. Ang power of control, Mr. Chair, ay yung kapangyarihan na hindi lamang basta titingnan nyo po yung resulta, I'm saying it now in my own words, Mr. Chair, pero yung pamamaraan para makarating sa resulta. May kapangyarihan po ang kagawaran ng edukasyon sa makatuwid kung ano po yung aming mga learning objectives or outcomes, how to achieve that. We have the power to say how to reach our objectives and direction. Supervision, Mr. Chair, is the power to make sure that those entities that we are supervising are complying with the law. So long as they are complying with our minimum requirements under K-12, pwede po naming i-supervise ang mga private school. So kung wari, ang aming pong requirements ay maunawaan ng bata, competencies 1 to 10, halimbawa lang, Mr. Chair, competencies 1 to 10, kailangan sumunod dahil yun yung batas ang private school. Ngunit kung gusto nilang higitan, Mr. Chair, paano po ito ituturo, hindi po namin control yon sa private schools, Mr. Chair. Yun po yung aming ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair, ng power of control versus power of supervision. Mr. Chair, doon po sa katanungan po ng ating pong DS Dan, ang gusto ko lamang pong sabihin ay, Mr. Chair, ay gusto po namin, we want to do better. There's no doubt about that. We are open to all suggestions. So meron pong sinasabi na may mga natutukoy pong mali. I will ask our USEC Dad San Antonio how we investigated dahil meron po kaming ginawang klarong-klaro paano po namin sinubukang hanapin po ito at kung makakapagpulungan po tayo na makita po ito kung sino po yung gumagamit ay we are very open to this, Mr. Chair. So if we could ask, Mr. Chair, kasi mahalaga po yun kung ano po yung ginawa ng DepEd para hanapin po ito. At meron naman po, Mr. Chair, if our USEC Dad San Antonio can be recognized, please.
Okay. USEC Dad San Antonio, go ahead.
Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Yung pong tanong, nag-imbestiga po ba tayo? We have a group that immediately validates. Basta po, yung pong error watch natin, gathers all the feedback, yung mga submitted errors. Ang una pong tinitingnan, saan niyang galing. Kasama po sa mga hinihingi namin, saan niyang ginamit at lahat. Kaya po nasasabi namin, nag-give up na po kami kung walang detalye. At kami naman po, nananawagan kahit sa mga media interviews namin, tulungan kami na ituro kung nasaan yung ostrich na yan at owl na mali. Kaya po ang pinaka-example kasi viral siya. Wala po talaga, simula nang lumabas siya noong Oktubre, hanggang ngayon, wala pong makapag-submit sa amin kahit yung nag-post sa social media na nagpapakita na ginagamit yan. So ang sinasabi po namin, at kami nga po sa may isang parang movie personality na binash din kami, nag-apologize po siya nung naunawaan niya na wala naman palang basihan para i-bash niya kami. Yung pong mga ganito, kasama po yan sa mga ginagawa natin. Yung pong totoong mali, hindi po namin dinidisown. Ang ginagawa po natin, katulad po ng nasabi ni Yusek Tony, ginagawaan po ng errata para maisaayos. Ito pong mga dinidescribe ko, ito po yung ginawa natin sa self-learning modules. Yun naman pong sa COA findings, ang ginawa po natin, as I mentioned earlier, ay notes to teachers na na-share na po natin sa LR portal ng DepEd. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Papuntayin mo rito si Weng, si Prime.
Maraming salamat, Yusek Dads. So, any other
Mr. Chair.
questions from
Mr.
the
Chair.
Sandali, hindi ko lang makita kung sino yung ano eh. So I cannot recognize.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Sir, may I announce the list of interpreters?
Yan. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, we have Vice Chair Ron Salo, followed by the Honorable Franz Castro, and then the Honorable Divina Yu, and finally Vice Chair C. Alvarado. So in that order.
Okay. So who's next online to ask questions?
Vice Chair Ron Salo.
Going back to Kong Sharon, satisfied na ba si Kong Sharon dito sa sagot ni Yusek Dads? Kong Sharon, if you're still here.
Sir, Kong Garin has already left the Zoom application.
Okay. So who's next in line?
It's Vice Chair Ron Salo, sir, followed by the Honorable Franz Castro.
Okay. Vice Chair Ronzalo, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just very simple, just some clarifications with the DepEd. Una, Mr. Chair, binabanggit po nila na unknown source. I exactly couldn't understand what exactly is meant by unknown source. So kung naging issue, sinasabi na galing ito sa textbook, pero ang sagot sa atin is from an unknown source. Ano exactly ang ibig sabihin po nun, Yusek?
Baka hindi mahanap yung librong sinasabi. Yusek Dads?
Mr. Chair, ang ibig pong sabihin namin pag sinabi naming unknown, kasi po sabi ko may team naman kami nagbabalidate. So inaalam namin saan niyang ginagamit, anong lugar at gaano karami yung gumagamit niyan. Ito pong mga na-report namin na unknown. Na-report po siya sa social media kasi kasama po yun sa nakaka-capture ng ating error watch na sinasabi mali ang ginagamit nyo sa kagawaran ng edukasyon. Pero ang aming pong pagkatapos ng aming pagsisiyasat, kung wala po talaga kaming makuha, dinideclare namin unknown. So ina-assume po namin na hindi siya ginagamit sa DepEd. Kasi nga po hindi naman masabi kung nasaan siya. Kahit po yung nag-post, sabi ko po, paulit-ulit po ito sa mga media interview na dineclare namin unknown niyang ostrich and owl error na yan, wala pa pong nakapagdala sa amin na ito ay ginamit sa mababang paaralan ng kung alinman o sa mataas na paaralan ng kung alinman siya. So,
ibig sabihin po, Mr. Chair, Yusek, hindi siya validated.
Ang ibig ko pong sabihin, pagkatapos po ng validation namin, Mr. Chair,
Opo, it cannot be validated. So it's simply means to say that that particular issue cannot be validated. So,
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, ang ibig sabihin po ni Yusek Dads po noon, Mr. Chair, Kong Ron, at salamat po dun sa intervention po ninyo, ay hindi po yan aklat ng DepEd. Kaya po humihingi po kami, Mr. Chair, ng tulong. I mean, sabi sa amin, and we tried to look. So the first step is to look which grade level, which page, which book are we referring to para po makorek. Hindi po yan sa DepEd. Yun po yung ibig sabihin ni Yusek Dads. Ngunit klarong-klaro po, Mr. Chair, inaamin po namin na may mga mali nga po doon po sa mga mababatas po na mga kagagalang-galang na mababatas na nandito po sa honorable committee na ito. Meron pong pagkakamali, yun po kinukorek. So nandoon na tayo sa bahagi na paano po makokorek kung hindi naman po namin makita. Yun po yung ibig sabihin, hindi po sa amin yan. So may mga, at yun nga po yung ibibigay po namin, Mr. Chair, at let there be no mistake about this, Mr. Chair. We want to do better. And yung mga
yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Yusek. May clarification lang po ako. Very short lang naman po ito. I don't intend to crucify DepEd in this particular issue. I just wish to be clarified. And of course, our aim, pare-pareho naman po tayo to improve, to be better. Pero ang tanong ko nga rito, what's exactly the vetting process? Kasi binabanggit kayo kanina, pag sa libro within DepEd where you have a complete control and supervision, parang hindi talaga katanggap-tanggap din na magkakaroon ng issue, magkakaroon ng mga errors. Kasi may control po kayo dyan eh. Kailangan ko maintindihan bakit nakalusot in the first place. Kasi may nakalusot noon at tapos na yon. Ginawa nyo ng paraan, inimbestigahan po ninyo. Pero kung umuulit, there's really something wrong. So I wish to understand what's exactly the process now. So anong in-institute nyo na pamamaraan para hindi na makalusot yun? Pagdating doon sa areas na wala namang kayong control but supervision, but I suppose meron kayong in-institute na mga mechanisms to make sure na bago lumabas yan, nakita talaga. So ano yung proseso rin na maaring, of course, kung nanggaling ng private yan, pero bago naman aprobahan yan, bago i-publish yan, I suppose mayroong proseso para siguraduhin na hindi makakalusot yung mga errors.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Opo, klarong-klaro po yung sinabi ni Kong Ron po natin and we want our, and I will add if necessary po, if our USEC dads can explain the vetting process, please, USEC dads. Thank you, Mr. Chair, if USEC dads can be recognized.
Kaklarify ko lang rin yung sagot kanina. No? So yung mga, like for example, the OWL, tinignan daw nila sa DepEd, hindi sa kanila yung learning material na yon, na-post lang sa social media, tama po ba? At hinanap nyo, it's not included in all the learning materials that you have authorized for use. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, hindi nila, yun lang, point of clarification na that's how I understood it, no? And they confirmed. So, go ahead, who's supposed to
po, Mr. Chair, I recognize po, that's po. Your Honor, yung pong vetting process natin, ito pong mga learning resources, lalo na itong ginagamit ngayong school year na to, ang proseso po natin ay develop siya ng mga teams namin, development teams. Binigyan po sila ng pagsasanay, tinuruan kung ano yung kailangan tingnan. Mayroon po tayong group of learning resource evaluators na ang trabaho po talaga, karagdagan sa mga ginagawa nila sa kagawaran ng edukasyon, ay magtingin, magsiguro na ang mga ginagamit na learning resources natin ay compliant sa ating standards. Hindi, katulad po ninyo, hindi rin po kami tumitigil, nabanggit na po ni Yusek Tony, na kailangan tuloy-tuloy ang pag-improve ng mga proseso. Kaya po kami sa third quarter and fourth quarter SLMs, nakipag-ugnayan po tayo sa Philippine Normal University. Mayroon na po tayong mga third-party evaluators ng learning resources na tumitingin din po ulit, isang tingin pa para masiguro na yung mga tiningnan na ng aming mga teams, nagtulungan po ang Central Office, Regional Office, mga Division Offices, yung mga specialists po natin ay nagtutulungan sa proseso ng pag-quality assure. So ang nadagdag po namin ngayon ay yung presence ng academic reviewers from the Philippine Normal University. Mayroon po kaming nilagdaang parang MOU para partner kami sa final review. Parang huling tingin para masiguro po na pag nilabas na siya ay katulad din po nyo. Siyempre ako hindi rin po ako never na magiging gusto o masaya na mali-mali ang mga ito. Gusto po nating maging mas maayos, kaya po pinapaigting din po natin kami po sa DepEd, kahit po siyempre hindi po magandang gawing dahilan na tayo ay mga tao lamang, pero gusto po natin talaga may effort to continuously improve at hanggat pwede maiwasan yung mga mali-mali na iyan. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair. So natutuwa naman po ako na doon sa binabanggit nila, Mr. Chair, that they adopted the new process, a vetting process na mayroong third party na titingin. Of course, na maganda po ito sapagkat hindi naman po pwede na nag-institute sila ng error watch and yung error watch na yon after the fact na. Nakita na, na-distribute na, na-print mo na, na-distribute mo na sa lahat, dinidiscuss na, tapos ma-identify mo may mga errors po doon. Which definitely is a much better process na bago mo po i-print po ito, bago mo i-publish at bago mo i-distribute sa mga bata, vet na ulit, na correct na yung mga errors po doon. So with that, I suppose maganda po yun. But I suppose ito po yung para doon sa within your control and supervision, yung proseso na binabanggit po ninyo. How about doon sa pribado? Na of course wala kayong control but you have supervision. What mechanisms, what steps have you undertaken to make sure that bago lumabas naman po yun, bago nila gamitin, ay na-vet din, na make sure na consistent naman yun, free from errors?
Good. Kong Dads. Yusek Dads.
Maraming salamat po uli, Mr. Chair. Yung pong sa private sector, yung pong kaninang nababanggit na ang DepEd nag-i-insist pa rin gumawa. Hindi na po totoo yan. Ginagawa na po natin yung pong quarter 3 and quarter 4 na mga self-learning modules natin. Karamihan po doon, bibilhin na natin sa private publishers. Dahan-dahan po tayong nagmamigrate sa bagong proseso. Yung pong ginamit naming procurement mechanism para sa quarter 3 and quarter 4 SLMs, tinitingnan po namin na pag na-upgrade yan, yung pong mga other procurement mechanisms na may mga issue po dati sa mga kinakagalang-galang nating congressmen, ay tinitingnan na po namin para po sa mga susunod na pamimili nitong mga learning resources ay magamit na rin natin ang
Sir Chair,
ng
maraming salamat po sagot pero hindi po responsive doon sa tanong ko. Ano po yung proseso to make sure that these are also free from errors? Yung procurement process ninyo, wala akong concern po doon. I'm concerned doon sa content, kagaya nung concern po ng marami po sa atin.
Mr. Chair, sorry po, ano pa lang po kasi yung context ng isasagot ko. Anyway, ang proseso po ay katulad din ng aming proseso sa DepEd. Although wala na po kaming third-party assessor, Director Aris may correct me if I'm wrong. Sa pagkakaalam ko ho, yung assessment namin, evaluation ng mga proposed outputs ng ating private publishers ay dadaan din po sa aming learning resource evaluators. Tinitingnan, mayroon po kaming, hindi po siya grabing higpit kasi mayroon pa nga po kaming pinapayagang conditional pass. Hindi po dahil gusto nating mahina, pero gusto po nating ma-maximize ang participation ng private sector. Kaya po sa first round ng assessment natin, kung na-meet nila yung threshold pero hindi pa perfect, nilalagay po natin yung feedback, i-improve nila yung manuscript, at para sa next round, pag namili na ang DepEd, na na-meet na nila ito. So,
Mr. Chair, kung pwedeng magbatin, honestly, it doesn't give me any comfort eh. Kasi kung DepEd nga mismo, maraming errors, then doon sa private ngayon, sinasabi po ninyo na dadaan sa you call it third party assessment, pero kayo rin po pala yung mag-correct noon, mag-check. Mukhang it doesn't give me comfort na marami namang proseso, marami namang paraan na pwede rin namang third party pa rin po yan. There are a lot of other private universities na pwede mang mag-correct, mag-vet nung proseso na yan kung tama ba yung document na yan bago i-release, yung textbook na yan free from errors. Hindi ko maintindihan bakit kailangan duman ulit din sa DepEd na sinasabi naman natin ngayon na may concern nga kayo.
Yung quality nung pag-review ng DepEd.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Hindi lang yung quality, tatagal din po talaga yan. Kasi mangyayari, lahat yan centralized. Si DepEd lahat ang magkukorek. We're saying na pinakamagaling ang DepEd, which is a presumption. But this particular hearing is providing that, proving the other way around.
I think the emphasis, what I'm getting from
Mr. Chair, can we hear Mr. Kalipugo?
Yes, I'm going to that. No, but first, I think what the emphasis that I'm hearing from the DepEd is on the quantity of these learning materials, but not necessarily the quality. No, so yung printing nyo, production, but the quality, the vetting process on the content, quality, appropriateness of these learning materials. Appropriateness now if you're betting on grade 3 materials or grade 4, yung kaugma-ugma, no? And hindi yung nasa grade 3 for grade 11, parang ganon, vice versa.
Mr. Chair, with your short comment.
I would like to, sige, go ahead with your
Una po, yung pong ginagamit sa private sector na mga learning resources, wala po yun, hindi po namin kina-quality assure yun. Ang kina-quality assure po natin, yung ipoprocure natin from the private sector. So ang sinasabi lang po natin, since ginawa po ito ng private sector at mahigpit naman yung kanilang quality assurance mechanisms, kaya po kailangan tingnan na lang ulit ng DepEd if they really conform with the standards we have set. So para pong nabaliktad yung proseso, kung yung kaysa yung dati kami nagde-develop, na gusto na rin po naming itigil. So pag private sources po, alam namin bago nila yan sinasubmit sa amin, na quality assure na nila yan. So what we just do is make sure that there is conformance with our standards. Thank you po.
That's the presumption, that's that kung galing sa private sector, high quality or higher quality than what the DepEd is doing. Am I getting that right?
Mr. Chair, hindi po, ang sinasabi lang po natin, yung proseso nila, mayroon na rin silang quality assurance mechanism. So nire-recognize po natin yon. So ang kailangan lang po namin gawin pag napunta na yan sa amin ay i-check if they really conform with our standards, kung ano po yung mga sinabi namin kailangan nandyan sa learning resources. So we acknowledge lang po na sila mismo before they submit it to DepEd, if it's for use in the Department of Education, mayroon na silang sariling quality assurance mechanism. So we are not saying na it follows na ano po siya, but we recognize po na kailangan pong may collaboration yung private and public sector pagdating po sa learning resources.
Who certifies the quality assurance system ng private sector na sinasabi niyo, no? Kung mataas o mababa, the presumption is basta galing sa private sector, it went through a good vetting process, so you just accept it. Cursory review of whatever.
Mr. Chair, hindi po siya cursory, conformance review po sa aming standard. So para rin po yung ginagamit namin sa sarili naming learning resources. Ang sinasabi ko lang po ay binibigyan sila ng assessment, sinasabi kung ano yung kulang, hindi na-meet, para may opportunity sila para i-refine ito sa next round of assessment po.
Okay.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Maraming salamat po sa mga USEC po natin.
So, no more question. If I'd like to brief the members. We have a certain Mr. Antonio Calipego, who I think is very in the allegations, if I may call it at that, on the numerous errors supposedly of materials from DepEd. So, but then I'd like to make a warning also, or caution, word of caution on Mr. Antonio Go. We do not like for you to what's this? Be very careful in your choice of words. Aside, let's be very factual if ever there are para respeto naman sa ating mga miyembro. I hope that's very clear, Mr. Go.
Okay na ba? Pwede na ba?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to all the participants. Magandang umaga po. Una-una, I'm 70 years old, retired na ako. So I'm supposed to be out of lahat itong kaguluhan regarding the books, no? Pero I'd like to point out na yung COA report came about because of my complaint in 2018, no? So lahat itong pinag-uusapan natin ay naggaling dun sa aking complaint. No? And sad to say, whatever the DepEd is saying, wala pong nangyari dun sa aking complaint na yun. Masakit na marinig ko mismo sa DepEd na sabihin nyo na in matters of usage and editorial preference, imagine, yung tubig daw sa thermometer, palulusutin nyo na tama na sabihin na tubig ang nakalagay. Di ba? Kinontra kayo ng mga tao diyan, nakasamahan nyo, the makagalang-galang na congressman and congresswomen. How can you say that with an open face, no? Yung libro, yung particular libro na kinomplain ko had 1,308 errors. In fact, hindi siya kailangang umabot ng 1,308 errors. Isang error lang is all it needs to make a textbook defective. Okay, so hindi ko na pahahabain kasi we have many guest speakers. Dalawang question lang ang itatanong ko sa lahat ng naka-attend dito sa Zoom meet na ito, no? Number one, yung wala pong ginagamit na module ang mga bata sa public school in the 3rd and the 4th quarter. Walang module. So what are they using? Tapos na ang 3rd quarter, patapos na rin ang 4th quarter. Anong module ang ginamit ng mga bata? Yan, mabigat na question yan. Number two, I will present a module na hindi pwedeng itanggi ng DepEd na hindi sa kanya. With your permission, I will present the module. Konti lang po ito kasi ito, dinala ho sa akin ito ng 4 na magulang all the way from Pampanga. Dinala sa akin, pinakita sa akin. So hindi sa akin galing ito, dinala sa akin ito and they were asking, requesting me to publicize it. So with your permission, I'm going to show.
I'm not sure on the appropriateness of the one unless you submit it to them.
Sir, I submitted it yesterday to your, I submitted the position paper yesterday.
The materials that you're saying.
Opo. And then gusto ko lang ipakita para hindi naman masabi ng DepEd na hindi raw nila ginawa, hindi raw sa kanila galing. This proves na ito ay module na gawa ng DepEd Division Office somewhere and then ginamit ng bata. And then the error is what? Nakakalungkot na ako'y what? Medyo pagsabihan nyo na mag-ingat sa aking pagsasalita. Pero the module itself contains a word na hindi ko pa nakikita anywhere. Kahit sa TikTok, hindi ko pa siya nakikita. Probably sa TikTok.
Mr. Go, I take offense on na nakakagulat na pagsabihan ka. We're just cautioning you. And we do that. I mean, that's normal. Unless we will not allow you to just say anything.
Hindi po.
Present as one. But I hope you be careful with your language. You cannot tell us to be.
Yes, Manong. Yes, my mother is from Ilocos Norte, and I really.
Can you respect to us?
Yes, I do. I do. In fact. And then what I'm trying to present is hindi po sa akin manggagaling yan. Nasa module po yan yung salita na bad word na nasa module.
You will present now yung
ngayon po, with your permission, pakikita ko lang sa inyo.
Go ahead, pakita niyo po.
Sige. First, I will show the module itself para makita nyo na totoo yung module. This is the module. This is page 1. And then page 2. Page 3, 10 pahina lang po ito. May sagot ng bata. Ayan, ito gusto ko maipakita sa inyo na sinasagutan ng bata. Yan, module yan na sinasagutan ng bata. Okay, please continue. Page 5, page 6. Sige. Ayan, may sagot ang mga bata. Okay, and then this is the last page, showing that this is a module from Mabalacat, Pampanga. And this was brought to me by 3 parents of students studying there. And then this is page 3 of this module.
Go ahead.
Sir Gian, show the page 3, the one. No, yung pinakita mo kanina, yung malaking not that. Which one? Yung yan. Oh, this can be seen on page 3 of this module. Maliwanag po yan.
Ano nakalagay doon? Hindi ko makita. Page 3.
Ang module na ito ay
Okay.
gamit sa Filipino grade 10. Filipino self-learning module grade 10.
At nakita ito sa
Nandiyan
Pampanga.
po, kasama po yan. Ayan, nakasulat po yan. And then I translated that into English. Imagine finding that word there.
Where are you quoting this from? Mr. Go, where are you quoting this from?
Ano po?
Where are you which material, where? Kasi yung allegation is that this is a DepEd material.
Yes, yes. Ayun po yung pinakita ko kanina, yung module na yan. Sir Gian, pakibalik mo nga sa page 3. Page 3. Ayun po, oh, lakihan mo. Ayan oh. Ayan.
Aswang.
They were describing the word aswang, no? Imagine, unang-una mali yung description, di ba?
Isang Diyos pero ang aswang ay pinaniniwalaan na ito'y tao.
Mm-hmm. Ayun, yun ang mabigat eh. Why include that statement?
We will ask the DepEd to verify this if this is correct.
Yes, oo.
You can help the DepEd and us go to the source of this material so they can correct it and then we can also. We can
katulad po, kanina may isang kagalang-galang na congressman, he mentioned what for are the corrections? Nagamit ng bata ito, sinagutan ng magulang, kasama ang bata, nabasa yung word na yan. Ano masasabi natin sa kanila?
We will see nga kung how extensive this is. This is true. No? So let's give a chance to the DepEd to maybe specifically answer this.
Well, Your Honor, I'm showing you the module itself. No? Dinala sa akin yan. Hindi ko naman ginawa yan.
No, we want to be sure that what you're showing us is legitimate also. Diba?
Legitimate po, kasi may sagot nga eh. Ayan, no?
Oo nga, pero pwedeng tanungin kasi ng mga na ikaw lang, meron lang gumawa at may sumagot.
Hindi po, ayan o. Ayan o. Binura nga niya yung pangalan eh, para hindi makita eh. Ayan o.
That does not prove anything, diba? Unless mapuntahan nga yun or i-admit ng DepEd na sa kanila yan. Diba? Anybody can make something like that, no? So we just want to be sure. Hindi po sa hindi namin pinapaniwalaan, pero hindi po natin pwedeng sabihin sa lahat na ito'y totoo. At least we're very thankful na pinapakita nyo po na merong material na ganyan. Now what we need to do is ask the DepEd if they're aware of this and if this is true, and then they conduct an investigation. If it is true, then we'll let them answer kung bakit ganun.
Opo, pero Your Honor, my point exactly, ang sa akin kailan ba matatapos itong pag-uusap natin ng error? Paikot-ikot tayo eh. Ang problema sa DepEd, they don't admit the errors. Di ba? Imagine, kung ano-ano sinasabi, editorial preference, matters of usage. An error is an error. Kanina, kinontra rin siya ng hindi po yun eh, hindi po non-negotiable po yun. An error is an error, period. Kanina nandiyan yung nandito kasama natin ang National Council for Children's TV. Imagine, yung bata pinababasa natin ng ganyang kasamang salita. What are we to do about it? Yes. Nasa module.
Sa TV rin yun.
Opo. Yes.
Kasi clarify me if I'm wrong, yung module na sinasabi natin, printed material that are specifically given to iba-iba yung modules.
Opo. And then the DepEd cannot wash its hands of it kasi division office yan ng DepEd eh. Meron siyang control and supervision over that, no? Hindi natin pwedeng ipasa yung
bigyan natin ng chance na makapag-tuman yung DepEd. I suppose DepEd, Dad, San Antonio.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair. Una po ay gusto kong i-correct yung sinabi na hindi inaangkin ng DepEd ang mga errors. Hindi po yung totoo. Kasi nga po, nag-i-issue tayo ng errata. Ito pong nire-report niyang specific error. Kasama po yan dun sa mga submit ko kanina. Ginawaan na po yan ng errata ng division office na concerned. Baka hindi na po kailangan banggitin. Pero obviously sa mga slides niya, Region 3. So, naglabas po ang superintendent ng instruction na mali yung nilalaman ng learning activity sheet na ito. At ganyan po naman, katulad po siguro ni Mr. Go, hindi rin po ako masaya na may mga mali-mali. Pero dahil nangyayari pa rin po ang mga maling ganito, ay kailangan mayroon tayong proseso para maiayos po. Nauunawaan ko po na nagamit na yan, kaya kailangang ipaliwanag po ulit ng mga kasamang guro natin na yung particular na aspetong iyon ng learning resource ay mali. Yung pong unang punto, baka lang po tanungin nyo ako, sasagutin ko na rin po. Totoo po yan na sinika po natin na yung quarter 3 and quarter 4 self-learning modules sa grade 4 hanggang grade 10. Sa grade 1 to 3 po, mayroon po tayong available na ready po yan lahat ng mga regional offices. Yung pong inaasahan na galing sa central office dahil po sa mga unforeseen, siguro sabihin baka mali yung judgment namin, but we decided po to really engage the private sector sa pag-procure ng quarter 3 and quarter 4 SLMs. Hindi po nakahabol sa deadline pero gusto pa rin po nating bilhin kasi gagamitin pa po naman natin ang mga ito sa mga susunod na pasukan. Ang ginawa po natin habang alam natin na gusto natin ito ang gawin, alert po tayo sa contingency plans. So ang mga bata po, ako may isang pinapag-aral po ako sa sarili naming bahay, patuloy pong nakaka-receive ng mga learning resources kahit po yung sa central office ay hindi naging available kasi nagbaba naman po tayo ng kaunting support, financial support at yun na nga po may mga na-quality assure naman kami na for use na yung dinevelop ng DepEd para sa quarters 3 and 4. So hindi po, wala po namang naiulat sa amin na paaralan na walang nabigay na mga gagawin para sa quarter 3 and quarter 4. Pero totoo po yun na yung plano ng central office na galing sa amin yung learning resources ay hindi po naging available dahil nga po sa mga constraints ng biglaang mga dagdag na quarantine at saka yung pong mga procurement guidelines na sinusubok nating i-comply naman lahat at sa malalong madaling panahon pero hindi po naman umayon sa amin yung mga pagkakataon. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, can I make a quick interjection, Mr. Chair? Very quickly lang.
Yes, Kong Porton.
Mr. Chair, tanong ko lang kay Yusek, Mr. Chair. Itong case ng Region 3 Division Office na to, where this module came from. Let me ask, Mr. Chair, bakit mo may ganong unique na nangyayari sa ibang divisions? Don't we have a uniform set of modules that are developed by DepEd and distributed and used by all divisions around the country?
Mr. Chair, pwede pong sumagot? Yun po yung gusto natin sa central office pero palagi po tayong naghahanda ng contingencies. Una po, gusto ko rin pong mailarawan sa mga kagalang-galang na congressmen na ito pong online or distance learning delivery modalities natin, nagkaroon po ng pagkakataon na kahit yung mga quizzes ng teachers sa face-to-face class ay napipicturan, nalalarawan at nakiklaim na may mali o lahat. Kaya po parang nadagdagan yung pagkakataon na lahat ng nangyayari sa ating more than almost 50,000 public schools sa mga iba-ibang classroom ay napipicturan nga po at na-highlight. At dati naman po, yun siyempre mga gagawin ng teacher sa loob. Ang iba po kasi sa mga errors na sinasabi, katulad lang po yan ng quizzes natin noong mga panahon na face-to-face pa, na si teacher lang ang gumagawa, chine-check lang ng head teacher. Hindi naman po talaga yan kayang ma-quality assure ng central office lahat. Pati po itong mga ganitong learning activity sheets na ito. Inaasahan din po natin na sa level ng paaralan, may mga head teachers diyan, principal, may mga supervisors na titingin. Ang iba po ginagawa nila division-wide yung pag-develop nitong mga performance tasks sa assessment at pinagtutulungan nila para siguruhin na ito'y maging maayos. Yung po, Mr. Chair, ang paliwanag kung bakit talagang may nangyayari na nakikitang mali kahit yung equivalent lang siya ng quizzes nung bago magka-COVID-19 sa face-to-face classes.
Ibig niyo
Mr.
sabihin,
Chair.
ibig niyo sabihin po yung mga materials na learning materials natin, iba-iba po bawat region or probinsya yung mga modules na inilalabas. Let's say for grade 3, first quarter, second quarter, hindi ho pare-pareho na galing, at least yung may guidance from central office, yung mga materials na yan.
Mr. Chair, ang sabi ko po kanina, hindi natin lahat na provide po yung 100%. At so ang nangyari po, may mga titles, may mga subject na yung either po, ang alam po, ang iba isang region, halimbawa sa Calabarzon, isang buong region ang title nila. So may sarili rin po silang quality assurance mechanisms at ginagamit po sa buong region. Ang iba naman po by division at ito po ay pinapayagan natin as part of our contingency arrangements. Yun na nga po sa mga sitwasyon na yung Central Office Quality Assured Learning Resources will not be available. Kasi ang talaga pong common mantra namin ay una, dapat may gagawin ang bata. Pangalawa po, ini-empower naman natin ang lahat nating kasama, mga kasamang guro, mga namumuno, sa mga paggagawa po ng mga desisyon para masiguro na ang mga bata ay magkakaroon ng mga gawain sa tuloy-tuloy na pagkakataon. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Parang what I'm getting here is, hindi po, you've been in the business of educating our students for the longest time, di ba? So, may kanya-kanyang diskarte ngayon ang mga region at saka different divisions ng school. We're talking about learning materials here or learning modules, no? The only difference being na magkakadiferensya, siguro sa Ilocos, Ilocanong gagamitin, translated, Bisaya. But still, our teachers come from all regions also, and may vetting process yan. Pag-translate tsaka shouldn't be, hindi naman natin iniiba-iba yung mga learning materials yan every month, every quarter, or even every year, di ba? Grade 3 is for grade 3. I suppose you just keep improving it. So katulad nitong napansin na mali, na ginamit yung ganong salita na prinisenta ni Mr. Go. Ito ba lumabas na po ito previously in previous years?
Unang labas pa lang po, Mr. Chair, if I may provide a response.
Unang labas pa lang.
Kasi nga po, dito yan nangyari sa mga self-learning materials na ginagamit natin sa pasukang 2020-2021. At kung magkakaroon pa ho tayo ng distance learning component.
What's the source of this self-learning materials? Hindi ba from previous materials din? Right.
Mr. Chair, yung pong mga dinidevelop, ang instruction po natin usually mga original materials para hindi po magkaroon ng problema sa mga copyright issues. Kaya nga po, at ang lahat po ng antas ng bureaucracia ng DepEd ay mayroon din pong mga sets of learning resource evaluators. Kaya nga po, kung sa division office yan, mayroon din po silang set of assessors na ginawa nila. Yung pong Central Office Quality Assured, nanggaling din po yun sa baba, pero yung po ay bago pa ho dumating si pandemya, naniniwala po kami kasi noon na malimit na nagkakaroon ng class suspensions, kailangan mayroon talagang gagamitin ang mga bata pag nasa learning at home mode sila. Kaya po may proyekto na talaga ang kagawaran, hindi pa po ako ang USEC noon na magsimula. So nagde-develop po talaga kami nitong mga self-learning modules na ito. At ang nangyari lang po, nang dumating si COVID, ay ni-reconfigure po natin dahil nag-ayos din po tayo ng most essential learning competencies.
Mr. Chair, just one last, Mr. Chair.
Congressman Portul.
Yes, Yusek, katulad nito nangyari sa division office, no? Ng one division office ng Region 3. Sino po nag-develop nitong learning material na to? At sino ang nagre-review bago po ito ilabas? Kasi napaka-glaring po nung error, hindi lang siya error na nagkamali ng spelling o may issue sa editorial preference. Napakalayo ng definition. At bakit ganun yung language? At yung language na pumasok, wala namang karela-relasyon doon sa definition na gustong ibigay, no, doon sa particular term na yon. Now, how did it happen? No? Paano nangyari na ang ganitong material ay lumabas at na-distribute pa doon sa mga estudyante? How is vetting done there in the local level?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
minsan po itong mga errors na nalalabas, dito po sa case na ito, talagang nalabas po nila, kaya nagpa-irata po sila. Ang mga development teams po, pag sa division office, usually kasama yung mga master teachers nila dyan, at mayroon po tayong mga area supervisors na namumuno sa quality assurance na mga ginagamit nila. Ang iba naman po ay pinapadaan pa nila sa regional office yung mga ginagamit nila. Sangayon po sa nailarawan ko na kanina, kung ano lang po siya, kung parang equivalent ng quiz, sa loob ng school lang po yung vetting ng gagamiting learning resource. Maliban po kung nagdesisyon ang division office na ang mga equivalent ng quizzes natin ay division-wide yung gagamitin nilang mga material. So, nagtutulong-tulong po sila sa division office level sa pagsagawa nito. Ang papel po ng central office ay mag-provide ng training sa mga learning resource evaluators at sa mga nagsusulat, pinapaalala po sa kanila yung mga dapat isa-isip at yun na nga po, in spite of all our best efforts, may mga nakakalusot po. Ang iba naman po talaga, sa ibang mga cases po, dun sa nabanggit ko kanina mga datos, ang iba po, hindi pa siya fully authorized, pero may nakita ni teacher yung parang current draft, reproduce na at sinishare niya na sa klase niya, at pag minsan yun po yung may mali at kailangan din pong bawiin o lagyan ng errata yung mga namamaling iyon.
Mr. Chair, I'm referring to this, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Just one last, Mr. Chair. Then that's it. Mr. Chair, I'm referring to this particular case. So, itong material ba na to ay school level lang o division level ang vetting na nangyari? Because I understand that you already investigated this, no? And probably you already found out what happened there. So, what happened here? Is this material? Was this material vetted in the school level only? Was this used only by a particular teacher? In which case the vetting would be in the school level only? Or was this already used already by the whole division? And if it was used by the whole division, ano pong nangyari? Bakit sa dami ng titingin, hindi man lang nasilip ito? Napaka-glaring kasi. Imposibleng mo overlook mo. Isang basa mo lang, kita mo kaagad na hindi lang napakamali at napaka-noticeable naman nung mga terms na ginamit doon. So, I'm referring to this particular case. Ito ba'y sa eskwelahan lang ginamit ang material na to o ginamit ito ng whole division?
Mr. Chair, pwede na po sumagot. Sangayon po sa ulat na napadala sa amin, division-wide, isang city sa Region 3.
Yan Mr. Chair ang question eh. Ang lawak ng vetting process na nangyari dito mula sa eskwelahan hanggang sa division and as described by the good USEC, marami pong tumitingin, isang team siya, no? And yet na-overlook ito. Tingin ko hindi na vet eh. Hindi tiningnan.
Mr.
Kasi
Chair,
imposibleng hindi makikita. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, una po sa lahat, inuulit po namin yung amin pong pahayag na talaga pong hindi po katanggap-tanggap ito pong material na ipinakita po ni Ginoong Kalipugo at kami po nagpapasalamat muli kay Ginoong Kalipugo na patuloy po at wala po siyang sawa na ginagawa niya po ito bilang isang mabuting mamamayan. Napupunan niya po yung mga bagay po pinagbibigay alam po sa amin. Hindi po talaga ito katanggap-tanggap, wala pong duda yan. Ito pong material na ito, pina-check po natin. May mga opisina pong in charge dito. Kagad-agad po natin chinek tulad po ng sinasabi ni Yusek Dads. Grade 10 po ito, second quarter, fourth week module. Division level po, Mr. Chair, kung fortune po natin. At wala pong, hindi ko maiisip kung anong excuse ang pwedeng ibigay po dito. Ayaw naman po namin magbigay ng mga salita rito na parang nagbibigay kami ng excuse. Ang mali po ay mali. Kaya po noong February 2021, kaagad-agad po itong nirecall ng division. Tulad po ng nasabi ko po, division-wide po ito at sinabi ni Yusek Dads. At meron na po kami ginagawa internally para po panagutin yung dapat pong managot. Unang punto po yun. Pangalawa, ito po yung pagkakataon ng aming tamang opisina. Tinitingnan po namin ang aming kalihim. Hindi po talaga ito tolerate po ito. In fact, in one instance, nag-meeting po kami talking about mistakes like this, paano pa rin ito nangyayari despite our vetting process. So clearly may lumabag kasi kung may proseso para maiwasan ito pong mga pagkakamaling ito at nakalusot pa rin, may paglabag o pagkukulang na nangyari. Kailangan na managot po lahat po itong mga lumabag at magkaroon ng pagkukulang po nito within what is provided for by law. Yun po yung amin pong sinasabi rito. At we will look again to our process. We are open to suggestions. Yung sinasabi po ni Yusek Dads, Mr. Chair, yung tanong po ninyo, bakit ganon, ba't iba-iba? So meron po kaming Central Office Developed Materials. Hindi ko na po papatagalin. Meron pong Region-wide Office Developed. Mayroon pong Division Developed. May School Developed. Bakit po nagkakaganoon? Tulad po ng nabanggit niyo rin po, Chair, under the Republic Act 10533, halimbawa lamang po ito, ang kinder to grade 3 in mother tongue. So we allow our divisions, our regions to develop materials, for example, especially for this year, kinder to grade 3, to develop in mother tongue. Pero ito po, grade 10 po ito eh. Yung kung ang tinutukoy po dapat centrally office develop po ito, pero meron pong ibabahagi namin sa inyo, Chair Bonito, maupo po kami with you, even with Comfortune and all the other legislators. Paano po ba ito nagiging central office develop, region at division? Pero ito nga po ay division develop. The vetting mechanism should happen in the division. Klarong-klaro, mayroon pong nakalusot. Kami po yung nalulungkot at maski ano po ang aming sabihin, sa ngayon, nirecall na nga po ito, tinama, at ang nandoon na tayo sa punto ngayon, Mr. Chair, na dapat lalo pang paghusayin at pahigpitin yung proseso na walang makalusot at managot yung mga hindi po sumusunod. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair, can I ask now questions?
Comsec, who's next in line? Just to be fair.
Una po.
Sir, the next interviewer is Rep. Franz Castro.
Okay, you're recognized.
Thank you. Oo, thank you, Mr. Chair. So habang nakikinig ako, no, na nalulungkot talaga ako doon sa mga nangyayari, no, kasi being a former teacher, na ano ko rin yung pakiramdam ng mga teacher. Ganyan, sinabi pa ni Yusek Umali na mananagot yung so hindi natin alam kung saan niya kukuhanin sa batas yung pananagot dito sa kung sino man. Kasi Mr. Chair, siguro kung titignan natin sa pandemya, sa panahon ng pandemya, ipinasa sa mga teachers etong mga gawain na ito, yung paggawa ng module, paggawa ng kung ano-ano na dapat ay tinabaho ng may mga specific na na may mga specific na function sa ating ahensya. At wala naman po tayong magawa, Mr. Chair, kasi sinabi naman ng DepEd nung nagbukas tayo ng klase nitong pandemya ay they were ready And yet, ang dami ng mga error ano, at mukhang ang kalabas-labasan nito, Mr. Chair, baka si teacher na naman yung huling masisisi dito. Alam niyo po, Mr. Chair, marami po talagang mga error. Bago pa magpandemya, yung mga textbooks, ako po teacher sa math, marami po talagang mga error doon sa mga official na mga textbooks. So ang ginagawa ng mga guro na correct po namin ito, no? Talagang bago namin ituro, tinitignan natin sa textbooks kung ano yung mga error at kino-correct natin ito bago pa ito maano ng estudyante. At kung napo-point out ng estudyante na may mali, mga teacher kasi kahit paano nag-a-admit tayo bilang kabahagi ng Department of Education. So sana ganun din yung DepEd ano, at ginagawa naman nila. So yung tanong ko lang po kasi yung resolution niyo Mr. Chair galing sa COA report. Narinig ko na yan ano noong nagtatanong tayo ng budget at na-erase ko rin po ito doon sa isang budget hearing noong 2018 yata or 2019 yung mga findings ni Mr. Go. Hello. At sinasabi po na parang walang capability or walang karapatan ang COA na mag-point out nito. So, ang tanong ko po, Mr. Chair, doon sa Department of Education, narinig ko po ito kay doon sa sulat, narinig ko po ito doon sa isang verbal na ni Secretary Briones. So, na-correct na po ba itong ganong notion or idea ng Department of Education? Kasi tingin ko yung COA may karapatan sila na mai-point out at dapat na sagutin at yung sinasabi po Mr. Chair na 1,039 na error pa lang sa isang textbook. That's talagang grave error talaga yun na talagang hindi katanggap-tanggap sa atin. So na-correct na po ba ito at pwede po bang mabigyan din ng sagot ng department, mabigyan tayo po ng sagot ng Department of Education doon sa inisyu po na nila, doon sa tinanong po ni Mr. Go at saka yung sa COA, Mr. Chair.
Yes. DS ay Yusek?
Si Yusek Dads or si Yusek Umali?
Well,
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Good morning again. Good noon, Mr. Chair. Good noon, Congresswoman Franz. Sang-ayon po sa nabanggit ko na kanina, nakapaglabas po tayo ng notes to teachers. Ito po yung pagparaan ng pag-address ng mga errors na na-report at nababalidate sa K-3. Na-share po ito sa ating LR portal ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon.
Mr. Chair, yung 1,000 plus po na binabanggit doon sa isang libro, ano pong ginawa nyo doon sa libro na yun, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, pwede pong sumagot ulit? Ang sabi ko nga po ay nag-prepare tayo ng notes to teachers at hindi pa ho kumpleto yung lahat ng notes for teachers kasi dumating po si COVID-19 at kailangang mas gawin po, bigyang pansin yung pagsisiguro na ang mga self-learning modules ay maayos din.
Sige, Mr. Chair, mukhang hindi rin sa akin katanggap-tanggap yun kasi talagang regular naman talaga na dapat embedded na sa atin yung regardless of pandemya. Kasi kahit na nagkaroon ng pandemya, Mr. Chair, kung titignan natin yung mga module na nilalabas nyo ngayon, ang dami pa rin talagang error. So wag po natin sabihin na dahil nagpandemya ay prioritize ninyo yung mga module, and dami pa rin pong mga problema sa atin sa module. Kung yung sistema po ninyo na pagko-correct yung system ninyo, mga methods ninyo na ginagawa po sa DepEd, sana po hindi na po na itong pandemya na yung mga modules na to. Nakita yung mga magkakamali. At wag po nating later on baka masisi Mr. Chair yung ating mga teachers. Kasi kayo mismo, Department of Education, yung nagbigay sa kanila ng mga ganong ng mga ganong mga responsibility na tingin natin hindi naman yun talaga yung dapat na gawin ng teacher sa panahon ng pandemya. At napilitan lang yung mga teachers. So sana wala tayong maririnig, Mr. Chair, no, na baka yung teacher na naman yung sisihin nila sa mga ganitong proseso ng Department of Education. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Castro. Well, Yusek, I suppose, hindi naman sinisisi. Galing, yung nagsasabi kung ano ituturo eh. Tsaka yung mga modules, sa inyo rin galing. Diba? Pero yung mga locally developed na, sinasabi nyo, regional tsaka, hindi ko na alam.
Chair.
Quality control.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead. Sandali lang, Des Marcoleta, let's give the others chance to, Comsec?
Last na lang po, Mr. Chair. Okay,
ahead,
so last na manifestation na lang po, no, Mr. Chair, no. Talaga pong yung ating mga kaguruan ay talagang hirap na po dito sa kanilang mga naging responsibilidad dito sa pandemya na ito, no. At ito pa po yung sa paggagawa po ng mga modules. Actually po, kung talagang consultation ang sinasabi ng DepEd na ginaganap ay hindi po talaga yun ang nangyayari, no, dun sa sana po makonsulta yung ating mga organizations and unions po kahit na dito sa mga policy na ginagawa ng DepEd, which is nakaano naman po yan, ano, at nasa batas po naman natin yan. At later, kasi ayoko nang later on masisisi yung ating mga kaguruan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Castro. Any member of this committee would want to?
Sir, excuse me for interrupting. Sir,
Mr. Chair.
Who is Kong Dante?
Salamat, Mr. Chair.
I just i-remind lang natin, we don't have an unlimited time, so we'll give everybody a chance. That's why after every speaker, I ask kung sino pa yung may question. And then we have another guest who wants to talk also. After DS Marcoleta, I recognize.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. Go ahead, DS Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, Kong Alvarado po ito.
Kong Alvarado. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, tatanong ko lang kung pang ilan ako sa listahan, Mr. Chair.
Comsec.
Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Alvarado, you're next after Representative Divina Yu.
I think I'm on queue, Mr. Chair.
Come again?
I think I'm the next one, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
If Representative Castro is already done.
Yes, I think he's done. Go ahead. Hindi ko nakikita kung sino nagsasalita. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yan.
Hi, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Actually, I don't know where to start, Mr. Chair, but basically, my question is about the modules, the supply of modules, especially in Mindanao, in our region, Region 9. Because until now, we don't have any modules for the third and fourth quarter of school year 2020 and 2021. Before I go further, Mr. Chair, may I ask the USEC or any from the DepEd, what happened to our modules and when are we going to receive that modules, or do we still have to expect for that?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Sino yun?
Yung sector po, if we could request our Director Aris to respond to the question po, Mr. Chair.
Congressman, what was your question again? Yung materials for third and fourth quarter?
Yes po.
Okay, can we be specific on that? answer, Yusek Mali?
Po, si Director Aris Kawilan po, yung tanong po ata ay ano na po ba yung nangyari sa third and fourth? Mr. Chair?
Yes, good morning po. Mr. Chair, may I give a response to the query of the Honorable Congressman Divine Reyes. For Region 9, may we be allowed to verify with the regional office as to the current status of the self-learning modules. And we will provide Congresswoman Divine an update on that so that she will already have ample information on the matter. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Congressman,
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
but Mr. Chair, wala na nga kaming module, pati information kung saan yung module to be follow pa rin.
Well, I think they earlier manifested also that they're not, may problema sa third and fourth quarter module, sabi kanina ni Kwan, ni Yusek.
Mr. Chair, if I may be allowed, and open then for Mr. Chair, for response from the DepEd if it's true. Kasi ang nangyari, Mr. Chair, yung modules natin for first and second quarter wala namang problema. It reached to our schools on time. However, the Department of Education changed the system in a way that lahat ng mga modules bidded in Manila. So national level na yung bidding ng all the modules. So naturally, yung third and fourth quarter kaya nagka-delay kasi hindi kayang i-print ng Manila, and also the first the production and then the delivery. Ang tanong ko, Mr. Chair, bakit binago yung system? Why can't we follow the first system wherein the bidding of materials were localized? I mean, the regions, the regional directors have the power to for the bidding of the modules.
Yusek Mamali or Yusek?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
That's po. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker Divine. As I already mentioned earlier, it's true na we wanted to engage the private sector in providing learning resources for the learners, kasi isa rin po yan sa mga sinasuggest at sinasabi na kailangan gawin ng kagawaran ng edukasyon. And so we initially po tiningnan namin yung mga timelines, makakaya, yung parang best effort makakahabol. Pero yun na nga po, unforeseen circumstances, talaga pong hindi nahabol yung quarter 3, most likely ang quarter 4 po. Kahit tapos na yung bidding, may mga post-bidding activities pa po na kailangan gawin. So, pero ito po ang gusto nating bigyang diin, while we were exploring the idea na yung grade 4 hanggang grade 10 ay centrally provided at procured from the private publishers. Ang ginawa naman po natin, patuloy po kaming nakikipag-meeting sa ating mga regional counterparts. Lahat po sila ready ng kanilang mga contingency plans para po sa learning resources. Nasabi ko na po kanina na karamihan either regional or division or school developed learning resources ang ginamit po at pinadala sa mga bata. At machi-check po namin kasi yung pong regional operations team namin ay nag-gather ng datos kung ano-ano yung mga estratehiyang ginamit ng regional offices habang po hindi dumating yung centrally procured learning resources. So totoo po yun, DS Divine, na hindi po talaga nakahabol due to yung mga procurement delays. Na problema na rin po ito ng kagawaran kahit po mga nakalipas bago pa ako dumating sa executive committee. Although teacher din po ako since 36 years ago, nararanasan po natin ito at ang isang notice lang po namin yung mga pagbabago sa aming guidelines nakatulong naman para maging mas mabilis pero yung pong bilis na na-accomplish namin hindi pa rin sapat para ma-deliver on time para ngayong pasukan.
Thank you, Yusek. Mr. Chair, I think Yusek Antonio did not answer my question. But although admittedly naman, nag-admit si Yusek that the modules were delayed. But yung question ko is, why did DepEd change the system? I mean, in the first and second quarter, there was no problem because the bidding was localized. I mean, every region has the authority to bid for the materials to be used in the region. Pero binago ng DepEd, parang may isang publisher lang, binigay nila lahat sa isang publisher, parang monopoly of the printing of that material. So kinuha lahat ni publisher pero hindi niya pala kayang mag-print.
Gawin lahat.
Mr. Chair.
Lahat. So parang wait. And then that's why yung third and fourth quarter hindi na deliver. And anong ginagawa ng mga students? Module ano pa naman tayo sa learning ngayon. And yun yung question ko, bakit binago yung system to give one person, one publisher, all the chance to bid or to print na hindi naman niya kaya? Bakit hindi niyo ibalik doon sa old system, the first system na ginamit natin, wherein every region has the authority to print the materials for his region. And I think, Mr. Chair, this system is better kasi every regional director has the better chance to understand, to respond to all the requirements, and if there are delays, kaya ni director kasi isang region lang yun eh. Whereas yung ginawa ngayon ng DepEd, parang gusto mong kunin lahat, the whole Philippines, hindi nyo naman kaya. And anong gagawin ng mga estudyante? Waiting for the modules. And then sabi nila, sir, hindi na magamit for next year na lang. And yet the system still the same, na si one publisher lang. I think that's Vibal. Si Vibal lang lahat ng mag-print ng all the materials.
Mr. Chair.
Congressman Aides, okay.
Yeah, I'd like the response from DepEd po.
Okay.
To hear the response of DepEd.
Yusek, can you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Una po, hindi po isang publisher lang ang magpiprint ng mga SLMs. Yung detalye po, I can allow Director Aris to actually enumerate the winning private publishers sa ating quarter 3 SLMs. Pero yung pong suggestion nyo na regional yung bidding or localized, kasama po yan sa mga pinag-uusapan namin as informed by Yusek Tony kanina po. We're in the process of looking at the existing systems and taking note of the areas for improvement. So we are considering po the option of allowing parang regional or division-based procurement of future learning resources. Magmi-meeting po yung TWG na na-create ni Secretary Liling very soon para ma-finalize na po ang mga panibagong enhancement sa protocols namin sa pag-procure. But that's one of the options that we are looking at, Deputy Speaker Divine, na baka localize po yung procurement. May mga pros and cons po yan, pero ngayon po kasi ang kinonsider namin, mas mabilis pong isahan. Pangalawa po, yung economies of scale. Pero sabi nga po niyo, medyo nagkaroon ng mga delays ito. Pero ang mamaya po si Director Aris, kung gusto po niyong marinig yung enumeration of the different winning publishers, particularly for quarter 3 SLMs. Hindi lang po siya isa. Ang nangyayari po, may mga slices kami, bawat subject, bawat grade, isang slice. Halimbawa, English 3, isang bidding isang labanan. English 4, isa na naman. Social Studies 3, another bidding, at ang ano po natin ay ganon. So iba-iba po yung mga nanalo. Hindi po totoo na iisa lang ang nanalo. Director Aris, Mr. Chair, if you may allow, I think Director Aris has more details.
One more,
Yes,
Mr. Chair, before
Go ahead,
Aris will respond. Until now, sinasabi pa rin ni Yusek Antonio that mabilisan ang isahan. Yusek, ayoko yung marinig yung mabilisan ng isahan kasi alam naman natin hindi mabilisan ng isahan. Third and fourth quarter nga, wala pa yung module until now. Second, yes, siguro there are other publishers who won the bidding, but like one publisher for 4 billion, another one publisher for 4 billion. But naturally, he could not print the whole amount on time. Ang tanong ko lang naman, and thankful din ako that you said pag-uusapan nyo, decide faster kasi walang magagamit yung mga students eh. And if you were able to make it last time on the first and second quarter, bakit pilitin yung baguhin sa third and fourth quarter and sabihin nyo pang mas mabilis ang isahan? Eh wala nga yung material namin for third and fourth quarter.
Mr. Chair, apologies to Deputy Speaker Divine if I said that. So ayun po yung unang perception namin, but as you have demonstrated, kailangan nga pong baguhin. So we are taking note and we are very appreciative of your push for us to consider the localization of the procurement. And at the same time, we'll seriously, we'll consider that sa meeting namin very soon. I think it's next Monday. Para mo po ma-finalize na not only the learning resources now, but the future learning resources. We are as desirous as the honorable members of this committee to provide a service that really responds to the needs of the children. So kung gusto nyo pa pong marinig yung mga nanalong publishers, palagay ko po ready si Director Aris, siya ang may detalye nito.
Mr. Chair,
go ahead, Congressman.
Mr. Chair, never mind, just submit us the list of other winning bidders, but yung ano ko lang, Mr. Chair, yung point ko lang, I hope ma-fast track ng DepEd. And Mr. Chair, I would like to add that it will help the economy of the different regions. Alam niyo naman po, ang hirap ng economy ngayon dahil sa COVID. And kung kunin pa lahat ng printing sa Manila, anong ginagawa ng mga printing offices ng mga different regions? So, bigyan mo kami ng trabaho, bigyan niyo naman kaming chance na kami yung mag-print niyan, yung mga printer namin, yung mga printing companies namin, kaya naman nila, and para mas mabilis din yung delivery. Yun lang yung concern ko din, Mr. Chair. Mas mabilis na delivery ng modules and yung economy ng mga regions, makaprint din yung mga printing companies. Huwag nyong akuin lahat dyan sa national level. Hindi nyo naman kaya. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Igo. Mukha kang, just to make a comment, mukha kang pabaliktad yung ginagawa natin sa DepEd. You're centralizing again everything instead of i-decentralize nyo kasi nga iba 7,000 islands, and then you want to centralize everything and deliver from one point dito sa central office. There must be a very, very compelling reason, and then make awards or awarded to several printers only or a single printer, as mentioned earlier, Bibal printing in the billions. Is this true? And if this is true, why are you, what compelling reason does the DepEd have for doing that? Centralization and then monopolization. DepEd, Yusek Dado. Yusek Dads.
Mr. Chair, as I mentioned po, mayroon po tayong iba-ibang mga printers na nag-participate. Magsasubmit po kami ng listahan, pero just to assure this committee po, nawala po yung file ko. But we have earned a significant savings po sa quarter 3 bidding. It's a significant amount that we can use for other learning resources at kaya po pwede po namin masubmit itong mga datos na ito sa inyong committee, Mr. Chair. Although quickly lang, halimbawa po sa quarter 3, ang award po natin, ang budget po natin, ABC, was 4 billion. Ang na-award po natin sa several slices ay 1.5. Ang na-save po from the ABC is 2.5 billion. Ganun naman po effective yun.
No use. Award yun.
Ito pong, sa quarter 3 po ito, yung procurement natin ng quarter 3, SLMs. Pagkatapos po ng bidding, yung pong difference ng ABC natin at ng pagkatapos po ng ABC compared with the winning bids ay malaki po yung na-save natin sa quarter 3 procurement.
Ang tanong ko kanina, award po yun.
Iba-iba pong kung gusto niyo pong i-enumerate natin, halimbawa po para sa ngayon po sa report sa amin, halimbawa po sa grade 4 English, this is quarter 4 po pala yung nabuksan kong file, FEP Printing Corporation, joint venture with Rex Bookstore, the award amount is 12 million, while the ABC was 56 million. Grade 5 English quarter 4, 4Gems Marketing, joint venture with Vibal. ABC was 26 million something. The award price is 18.4 million, and the savings is 7.7 million. For grade 6 po, 4Gems Marketing with Vibal, etc. We are ready po to submit this to you, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Yes, you just submit that. We have a copy. I have a copy of the COA report, and noted are there seems to be, as mentioned by Congressman Yu, mukhang majority ng printing nga is towards a particular printer, no? And even if you say the competitive bidding has been conducted, it seems well, it attracts attention. Bakit parang ilan lang yung ang lalaking kontrata yan if taken in its totality, di ba? Tapos ilan lang na printer. So aside from quality of materials, may pagkukulang po tayo sa quantity dahil hindi dumarating po doon sa sa ibang lugar. Tapos ngayon naman yung procurement procedures nyo ang problema. Well, nowhere to start also, no? But this committee will is taking note of all of this. So the next interpellator, Comsec.
Chair.
Yes, sir. The next interpellator is our Vice Chair, Representative Antonio C. Alvarado, sir.
Go ahead.
Maraming salamat.
Yeah.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman, at sa ating mga kasama, lalong-lalo na sa mga taga-DepEd at sa mga pribadong individual na nag-complain, lalong-lalo na si Mr. Go. Unang tanong ko, Mr. Chair, para po ito sa DepEd, Mr. Chair, gaano ka-importante ba sa ating mga mag-aaral yung pinag-uusapan po natin ng mga textbook na ito? Mr. Chair. O
Yes.
module, ayan yung mga module tsaka yung mga textbook na ito.
Who would you want to answer, Kong? No? Gaano
Sa DepEd, Mr. Chair, tsaka Mr. Chair, tatanong ko rin sa ating mga kasama na panumpa na ba natin yung ating mga invited guests ngayong araw na ito?
Hindi pa, Kong, no? Kasi parang ano lang naman ito, hindi man. I'd like to clarify that, no? Hindi ito ay parang hybrid na hearing at kuan lang briefing.
Briefing pa lang ito, Mr. Chair, hindi pa to hearing. Okay.
Kina-clarify ko lang, but we can certainly make it official for this to be hearing. No?
Kasi
Dalihan
Mr.
din
Chair,
tayo
kung
nakapag-
hearing ito, para mapatunayan natin na talagang totoo yung sinasabi ng mga imbitadong guest natin, maganda ay panumpay natin sila. Ngunit kung briefing pa lang naman na ito ay maaari natin silang payagan na sa susunod na pagbalik na lang nila sa susunod, kung magkakaroon man ng isa pang formal na hearing ito, at saka natin sila panumpayin, Mr. Chair.
Well, certainly, yes, we will call another hearing because mukhang maraming tayong kailangan pag-usapan dito sa...
Sir, yes, sir. With your permission, sir, we now have a quorum, sir. So this is officially a hearing, sir. It's not just a briefing.
Come again, Comsec?
We have a quorum, sir. So it is a hearing, not a briefing.
Then we'll have to call our resource speaker to administer the oath, Comsec.
Yes, sir.
We can take them accountable for everything that they say.
Sir, with your permission, can I administer the oath now, sir?
Go ahead, Comsec.
May we ask all our resource speakers who are present via Zoom to please hold up their right hands.
Go live and then hold up your one to everybody.
You do solemnly swear that the statements you will give before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
I do. I do.
I do.
I do.
I do. I do.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. So, thank you for that. Does that satisfy you, Vice Chair?
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair, at sa ating mga kasama. Para po muli sa DepEd, tatanong ko, Mr. Chair, siguro si Yusek San Antonio o kaya si Yusek Umali pwedeng sumagot nito. Alin sa kanilang dalawa, isa na lang ang sumagot. Gaano kahalaga ba yung mga module o textbooks na pinag-uusapan natin para sa ating mga mag-aaral, Mr. Chair?
Yusek or...
Mr. Chair, bilang po isang, sabi ko nga, teacher since 1985, naniniwala po tayo na ang pagpapatuto sa mga bata ay nangyayari dahil sa iba-ibang salik. Siyempre po, yun mismong kahandaan ng bata, yung kakayahan ng mga guro na magbigay ng mga aralin na magiging magpa-facilitate para matuto ang mga bata. Kasama rin po palagi sa ating konsepto ng pagpapatuto ang availability of the learning resources. So ito po ay mahalaga. Kasama sa mga mahalagang kailangan. Siyempre po, sang-ayon sa mga pag-aaral, mahalaga rin ang suporta ng pamilya, ng mga magulang, ng yung home environment. Mahalaga rin po ang environment mismo sa loob ng paaralan kung mayroon mang face-to-face classes.
Okay. Sa sobrang halaga po nito, Mr. Chair at Yusek San Antonio, masasabi mo bang hindi kumpleto yung pag-aaral ng isang kabataan kung hindi siya makakahawak o kung hindi siya makakagamit ng module? Yusek San Antonio.
Mr. Chair, kailangan po na mayroon talagang learning resource na magagamit ang bata. At kahit po nung bagong magpandemya, hindi talaga po na di-deliver ang lahat ng mga kailangang ma-deliver na learning resources sa ating mga bata. Pero dahil naman po masyadong malikhain at creative ang ating mga kasamang guro, kasama na rin po ako dyan nung ako'y teacher pa, ay naghahanap po tayo ng paraan na ang mga kailangang learning resources ay maging available sa ibang paraan pagka hindi po ito nabibigay ng central office.
Mr. Chair, medyo naguguluhan ako dun sa sinabi ng ating kasama na si Yusek San Antonio kasi nakangiti niyang sinabi na importante yung learning material, pero doon sa pangalawa niyang sinabi na pwede namang tama po ba yung pangalawa mong sinabi na maaari rin namang matuto yung mag-aaral kahit na walang module? Yusek San Antonio?
Mr. Chair, ang sinasabi po natin, kung walang module, may paraan pa po ang mga kasamang guru natin na makapagbigay ng mga aaralin para sa kanilang mga mag-aaral. Mahalaga po ang learning
Ibig
resource.
sabihin po, Mr. Yusek San Antonio, hindi naman maapektuhan yung kalidad ng pag-aaral ng ating mga kabataan kahit na walang module.
Ang sinasabi po natin, kailangan ang learning resource, kahit anong uri po ito, module, sa traditional na face-to-face, mga textbooks, at iba-iba pa pong mga resources. Mas maswerte po ang mga mag-aaral natin ngayon kasi yung pong mga kaalaman ay mas available, lalo na kung may access sila sa internet, at ang papel po ng mga kasamang guro natin ay naiba lamang kasi kailangan nilang magbigay ng guidance sa mga bata kung alin yung kailangan gamitin at paano ito gagamitin.
Yusek San Antonio, maraming salamat po. Maaari po bang oot hindi na lang po yung sagot ninyo sa katanungan ko? Kasi simple lamang po yung katanungan ko. Ang tanong ko lang po, buo ba yung pag-aaral ng isang bata kung hindi po siya gagamit ng module? Mr. San Antonio, Yusek San Antonio, oo at hindi na lang po para hindi po magulo yung pag-uusap natin.
Mr. Chair, kailangan kasing magbigay ng konteksto sa kasagutan. Sorry po, hindi po kasi ako abogado, teacher po ako, so kailangan pinapaliwanag po ang aking sinasabi. Sana po ay payagan tayo ng mga kinagalangang congressmen.
Mr. Chair, if you may.
Go ahead.
Sige po.
Go ahead.
Opo, pasensya na po kayo. Opo, Vice Chair.
Hindi ko naano kung sino yung hindi ko nakikita kasi kung sino nagsasalita.
Si Yusek Umali po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Go ahead, Yusek Umali.
Opo. Ang sagot po sa katanungan po, pasensya na po kayo, Vice Chair, ng ating Yusek Dads ay mahalaga po talaga ang modules. Pero hayaan niyo po kung dagdagan po yung gusto niya pong ipaliwanag. Kasi po, meron po tayo ngayong iba't ibang distance learning modality. Pwede pong printed module lamang ang hawak ng mga bata. Pwede pong gadgets po, Vice Chair, na naka-upload po doon yung module. Pero yun din po, I'm sure, yung tinutukoy yung module. Hindi nga lang printed pero nasa gadget lamang po. At meron din pong TV at radio-based distance modality po tayo. So, pag sinabi po natin TV, mahalaga po yung television at radyo. Pag sinabi po natin online-based, mahalagang may gadget. Pero klarong-klaro, yung ideally na sitwasyon po natin, kung yun po ang katanungan, ay talagang dapat po bawat isang bata ay may issue. Sa katunayan, Chair, bago po ang pandemyang ito, ang ating pangarap nga po, textbook to student ratio is 1:1. So talagang mahalaga po yun, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Yusek Umali. Sa madaling salita, sa pananalita ni Yusek Umali, sa sinabi ni Yusek Umali, hindi kumpleto ang pag-aaral ng isang kabataan o isang mag-aaral kung walang module. Ito man ay electronic o ito man ay nahahawakan o printed na module. Sa ngayon na Yusek Umali, ilang module na printed man o electronic yung nasa kamay ng ating mga kabataan? Ilang porsyento na, Yusek Umali?
Opo, ipagpaumanin po ninyo, Mr. Chair, ang may opisina po kaming in charge po dito. Director Aris Kawilan po, Mr. Chair, ay makakatulong po masagot po yung tatanungan ni Vice Chair.
Mr. Chair, makausap sana natin si Director Alice, Mr. Chair. Nandito po ba si Director Alice?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. As of the present, as of our latest data, we already have 3.3 billion self-learning modules procured po, Mr. Chair.
Ilang porsyento na po yun sa kabuuan ng ating mga mag-aaral, Director?
Mr. Chair, when we account for the SLMs that were provided already for our learners, much of the data are with our field officers. However, we are aware that when we give the self-learning modules to our learners, the ratio that we have provided was 1:2. However, some of our field offices managed to provide at least 1:2 ratio to our learners po, Mr. Chair.
Maaari na po ba, ligtas na po bang sabihin na kalahati o 50% ay naipamahagi natin, Director Aris?
For the present quarter, that will be safe to assume po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, maraming salamat. Mr. Chairman, sa ating mga kasama, kung 50% pa lang o kalahati pa lang na mag-aaral yung mayroong module, electronic man o nahahawakan, at sinasabi po ng ating mga minamahal na Yusek San Antonio at Yusek Umali na importante talaga para mabuo yung pag-aaral ng isang bata, either electronic o kaya nahahawakan na module, ay kailangan nagagamit ng isang bata dahil ito ay nakakatulong sa kanilang pag-aaral. Ngayon tanong ko, Mr. Chair, sa mga taga DepEd, kung kalahati lang ng ating mga kabataan yung nabigyan ng module, masasabi ba natin na kalahati lang sa ating mga kabataan yung effectively nakakapag-aral ng mabuti o maganda yung kinalalabasan ng kanilang pag-aaral sa DepEd, Mr. Chair? Maaari po bang sagutin ito ni Yusek Umali, Mr. Chair?
Yusek Umali, go ahead. Yusek Umali?
Mr. Chair, klaro po na hindi po alam niyo pagpamanin po ninyo as the good vice chairperson is talking, I was asking on the people in charge on this because we want to help our USEC Dal San Antonio to answer. So yung katanungan po ay hindi po talaga pwedeng hindi ko makuha yung tanong kung kalahati lamang. Mr. Chair, ang ibig sabihin po ng ating USEC DADS, yung narinig ko po na o ni Director Aris ng 1:2, hindi po ibig sabihin po noon, Vice Chair, na kalahati lamang ng ating 22.5 million children ang may modules. Ang ibig sabihin po niya, Mr. Chair, siguro hindi lang po naipaliwanag, ay meron pong naipal-imprenta na katumbas ng kalahati ng ating mga mag-aaral. Pero sana linawin po ito ni Director Aris kasi hindi po ako in charge pagpaumanin po ninyo. Pero yun po dapat ang ibig niyang sabihin. Pero yun po'y pag sinole ay gagamitin naman po nung kalahating hindi po nakatanggap ng sa unang linggo, Mr. Chair, science, kailangan po natin ng 100 modules. 50 lang po ang naipalimbag, 100 math. So sa unang linggo, yung 100 bata ay gagamit ng 100 science modules. Wala pa po siyang math. Pero
Mr. Chair, pwede bang
Mr. Chair,
maputol na yung pagsasalita ni Yusek Tony, Mr. Chair, kasi halatang-halata na po na napapaikot na po tayo eh. Kanina pa po ako nag-TTS, Mr. Chair, at ako'y nagpapasalamat na kayo rin po nahalata ako na yung frustrations ninyo. Kanina po inamin na ni Yusek San Antonio na yung third quarter at saka fourth quarter ay wala po tayong modules. Kanina na naman, sinabi naman ng Director Aris, nakapaglimbag daw sila ng 3.3 billion modules. Salungat na po itong sinasabi nila, Mr. Chair. Wala nga pong na-deliver na modules itong third quarter na nakalipas. At ngayon po itong fourth quarter, matatapos na sa July 10, inamin na po yan dalawang beses nang inamin ni Yusek San Antonio, magmula pa po nung May 20 na nag-Zoom kami, at ang ngayon na inaamin niya na hindi talaga lalabas ang mga modules na yan, third quarter at saka fourth quarter. Ano yung sinasabi ni Director Aris na nakapag-procure na sila ng 3.3 billion? Nasaan po yun, Mr. Chair? Hindi po ako makapapayag na tayo po parang pinaglalaruan itong mga USEC na nagsasalita ngayon, Mr. Chair. Mawalang galang na po, pero napaka-importante po ng pagdinig na ito. If we go by the sweet smiles of USEC San Antonio, it is as if these problems are being trivialized, Mr. Chair. Doon pa lang po sa mga errors, wala na silang masabi kung hindi yung humingi ng tawad na lang eh. At pagkatapos ay humingi na sa tulong natin kung paano nila maisasaayos. Pero paulit-ulit po yung pagkakamali na yan. Kaya gusto ko pong bumalik sa nauna kong punto kanina. Hindi sana sila malalagay sa ganyang kalagayan kung hindi po nila tuloy-tuloy na nilalabag yung batas na nagsasabi na wag na silang maglimbag ng mga modules at mga libro sapagkat hindi na yan ang kanilang responsibility. Alam naman po nila yan eh. There is a continuing violation of Republic Act 8047, Mr. Chair, na hanggang ngayon hindi po nila sinasagot. Bakit po ang mandato ninyo na sinabi sa 8047, Yusek San Antonio and Yusek Tonicito Umali, maliwanag naman po yan na binawalan na kayo ng batas na hindi na kayo ang gagawa ng libro at kahit anong learning resources. Bakit pinipilit pa ninyong ipagpatuloy yan?
Mr. Chair, bago sumagot si Yusek Umali, ipapaalala lang natin sana Mr. Chair sa DepEd na sila ay nakapanumpa. Kaya kung sila ay magsisinungaling sa ating ngayong araw na ito, sila ay maaari nating makasuhan ng perjury, Mr. Chair.
Tama ka, Kong Alvarado. Kanina pa tayo pinasisinungalingan. 3.3 billion daw ang kanilang pinrocure. Pero inamin naman nila, third quarter at saka fourth quarter, wala silang mailabas. Kagaya ng tanong mo kanina, napaka-importante ng modules na yan. Ang totoo niyan, ang dapat nilang ilabas, ayon kay Director Aris, 47 billion. Lamang, in-streamline nila dahil nagkaroon daw ng pag-i-streamline ng tinatawag na learning competencies. Kaya 3.3 billion na lang ang kanilang pinroduce. Pero kung totoong nag-produce sila ng 3.3 billion, isipin mo, Mr. Chair, ang sustansyang dapat nakainin ng kaisipan ng ating mga kabataang mag-aaral, 100%. Doon po sa kanilang most essential learning competencies, ginawa na lang nilang 40%. Hindi po nila pinaliliwanag kung bakit ang 60% na dapat makain ng isip ng ating mga kabataan ay naging 40% na lang. Ngayon, palagay mo ng tama yung ginawa nila na 1-to-1 na lang. 40% na lang ang kakainin ng kaisipan ng ating mag-aaral. Pero hindi nga po eh. Hindi lumitaw yung modules eh. Pati modules wala na nga eh. Tinatanong kanina si Yusek San Antonio kung hindi apektado ang pag-aaral ng isang bata kung wala siyang module. Hindi niya masagot-sagot yun. Bakit? Kailangan mo bang maging abogado para masagot yun? Apektado ang pag-aaral ng isang bata sapagkat wala silang module. Ang totoo niyan, nagsimula ng first and second quarter eh. Pinamahala nyo sa baba. Kawawa yung mga teachers, sila nag-produce ng module. Alam niyo yon. At itong third quarter and fourth quarter, lalo kayong sumabit. Mabuti nga ngayon eh. At ako'y nagpapasalamat sa chairman ngayon at natuntun ang mga bagay-bagay na yan. Pati nga sa kamalian ninyo, hindi nga ninyo masagot-sagot eh. Ang tanong, kailangan masagot ninyo ngayon, bakit nagpapakadalubasa kayo na gumawa ng modules, ay sinabi na ng batas na hindi na ninyo pananagutan ito. Ang sasagutin ninyo ngayon, bakit nagpipilit pa kayong gumawa? Hindi ba nyo alam that you are violating? Ito po, Mr. Chair, ang unang pinoint out nung comment na sinabit ng COA sa atin ngayon. Yung first observation nila, there is a continuing circumvention of Republic Act 8047. Sapagkat ang dapat gumawa po niyan, National Book Development Board, dahil private sector publishers na po ang gagawa. 26 years na po nilang binabiolate ang batas na yan, Mr. Chair. Kaya nagkasabit-sabit tayo ngayon. Incidental lang po yung pag-uusap ngayon tungkol sa mga errors and deficiencies. Pero ang katotohanan po, sinusurcumbent ng DepEd ang ating batas. Ito po, matagal ko nang tinatanong sa kanila. Ano ang ginagawa ng National Book Development Board ngayon? Ibig ba niyo sabihin, bibigyan pa natin ng budget ang National Book Development Board? Hindi naman sila ang gumagawa ng mga libro. Wala na libro po ngayon, Mr. Chair. Modules na lang ang ginagawa nila. So ano po ang gagawin pa ng National Book Development Board ngayon? Ito po yung mas malaking problema na kinakaharap ng DepEd na hanggang ngayon, Mr. Chair, ayaw po nilang sagutin. Salamat po, Mr. Chair. I am expressing my official frustrations to the answers being given to this committee. Napaka-importante po ng pagdinig na ito. Pero paikot-ikot lamang po sila. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, maaari po ba nating pasagutin ang mga taga-DepEd, si Yusek San Antonio, Mr. Chair, kung ano yung kanyang pananaw doon po sa statement ni Deputy Speaker Dante Marcoleta, Mr. Chair?
Yes, from the DepEd, I guess kung sino yung highest ranking representative ng DepEd, dahil very kwan yung tinatanong ni Deputy Speaker Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Baka tutulungan din ako sa ibang paliwanag ng mga kasama ko. Mga quick answers lang po. Yung pong issue ng private sector engagement, ginawa na po namin sa quarter 3 and quarter 4 self-learning modules. And engage na po natin yung private sector kasi parehas po ng pananaw ni Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, naniniwala rin po kami na kung ito ay ipoprovide ng private sector ay mas makakapagtuon kami ng pansin sa mga iba pang kailangan gawin sa DepEd. So papunta po kami doon, nabanggit ko na po kanina, uulitin ko lang po na yung pong TWG na create ni Secretary Liling para pag-aralan kung ano pa ang mga pagbabagong kailangan gawin para po maipatupad ang mga pinaiiral na batas ay ma-implement po. Ang sabi ko po kanina, uulitin ko lang po ay ito pong modelo ng pag-procure namin ng SLMs maliban sa observation kanina ni Deputy Speaker Divine na kailangang regional yata yung procurement, i-consider din po yan. Magpupulong po ang aming TWG. Pangalawa po, yung pong nire-report namin na 3.3 billion pieces of self-learning modules. Sang-ayon po yan sa mga datos na naisumiti sa amin ng mga regional offices sa pamamagitan po ng kanilang statement of expenditures na sinusumiti po sa atin para ma-explain kung paano nila ginamit yung mga na-download na funds. Yun naman pong issue na sabi ko nga po, hindi naman po talaga ako magsisinungaling kasi po Justado San Antonio po ang pangalan ko. Sinisiguro ko po na isang buhay ang pangalan ko, Mr. Chair. Yung pong sinasabi ko hindi natuloy, hindi available yung quarter 3 and quarter 4 central office procured SLMs. Para po ito sa grade 4 hanggang grade 10. Yung grade 1 to 3 at yung pong senior high school, naayos na po yun. Ang sinabi po natin, habang sinisikap sana natin na ma-provide ito, ngunit hindi nga nangyari. Habang po ito ay ginagawa, nag-isip naman po kami sa DepEd, nauunawaan ko po, frustrated ang ating mga kagalang-galang na congressmen sa mga efforts namin. Pero may effort naman po kami na kung hindi nga magiging available, mayroon pa rin tayong ibibigay na learning resource sa ating mga mag-aaral. Yun po ang sinasabi ko kanina na siyempre hindi ako pwedeng mag-yes and no sa sagot sa tanong kasi po hindi maiintindihan na kahit hindi po napadala ang mga self-learning modules na pre-procure ng Central Office sa quarter 3 and 4, mayroon naman pong ginagamit ang mga bata at ito po dahil naghanda po kami ng aming plans B, plan C, kasama na rin po yan sa response namin sa COVID-19 pandemic na kailangan pong maging flexible tayo at kinukonsider natin yung mga risk na pag hindi siya nangyari, hindi po pwedeng matigil yung pagpapatuto sa mga bata. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Nasaan po yung mga 3.3 billion modules sa
Sir,
San Antonio? Nasaan po yung mga modules?
Mr. Chair, pwede pong mag-submit na lang. Pwede pong mag-submit kami. Mr. Chair, sasabihin
nasaan po yung mga modules ngayon? Kasi sabi mo, hindi ka magsisinungaling dahil San Antonio ka, Diosdado ka pa. Nasaan yung 3.3 billion? Nasaan?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
pwede po, sabi ko po, magsusumiti po kami ng breakdown as submitted to us by the regional offices. Ang pinaghahalawan
Ibig mo sabihin, ang mga regional offices, nakahanda sila na aminin nila na nasa kanila yung 3.3 billion, baka nagkakamali ka na naman.
Mr. Chair,
sigurado ka ba na may sasubmit mo sa committee ito na 3.3 billion ang nagamit for the third quarter and fourth quarter?
Mr. Chair,
hindi po ito sasagutin mo muna yung tanong. Nakakasiguro ka ba na yung 3.3 billion nagamit ng mga regions at saka yung mga division schools ninyo?
Mr. Chair, ang binabanggit po namin ay yung mga modules na na-produce simula ng quarter 1.
Hindi tayo nagkakaintindihan eh. Tingnan mo, Mr. Chair, tingnan mo yung pagsagot nila. Nagsimula na naman daw ng first quarter hanggang fourth quarter ngayon. Nagkaliwanagan na tayo nung nakaraang budget hearing eh. Wala nga kayong pinroduce eh. Wala kang na-produce. Ang binigay mong figure nung budget hearing, I'm going to refresh your memory, 1.2 billion lang ang first quarter and second quarter. Ngayon, nag-iimbento ka ng 3.3 billion at sasabihin mo ngayon, you will be able to submit to this committee the 3.3 billion modules produced by the regions? Baka magkamali ka rito, Yusek San Antonio. Ang sabi ko nga sa iyo kanina, hindi kayo dapat nalagay sa ganitong kalagayan. At kanina sinasabi mo na naman, you engage the private sector eh. Hindi kayo ang dapat mag-engage sa private sector. The National Book Development Board was pinpointed by the law na sila nang gagawa niyan. Exit na kayo dyan. Alam mo yung batas eh. Pero kayo ang nagpipilit to engage the private sector. It is no longer your responsibility. You must know the law. Republic Act 8047. Basahin mo yung sections 10 and 11. Hindi bale. Sa budget hearing, makikita mo, ipo-point out ko lang sa'yo, dapat lamang magpakatuwid kayo eh. Sinabi ko na sa inyo noon, magpakatapat kayo sa pagsasalita ninyo sapagkat napaka-importante ng pagdinig na ito. Dito lamang sa mga mali-mali, hindi nyo na mailagay sa tama. Alam po ninyo, nagkamali ka sa isa o dalawa. Ang bata, alam niyo sensitibo yan eh. Di ba kayo nang nagsasabi, let us not tell a lie to a child. Ang isa pong mali na mababasa sa isang libro o module ay isang uri ng pagsisinungaling. Ito ba'y kakayanin ninyo ng konsensya ninyo na wala kayong nagawang epekto sa bata dahil sa pagkakamali? Hanggang ngayon, Yusek San Antonio, you cannot produce any report that you were able to correct all these deficiencies na ginawa pa ninyo magmula pa ng 2015. Ngayon lamang nadidinig ngayon sa komite. At ako
na sa atin lahat ngayon na importante talaga yung module. Kaya napakarami sa ating mga magulang yung nagrereklamo pagka may mali yung module o kaya pagka may estudyanteng hindi man lang makahawak ng module. Ngayon po, Mr. Chair, maaari ko po bang makausap si Mr. Go? Nandyan pa po ba si Mr. Go? Mr. Go?
Nandyan pa ata.
Mr. Go? Ayan, Mr. Go.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kanina po ay may pinakita kayong module galing sa Region 3. Maaari mo po bang muling ipakita yung module na ito, Mr. Go? At yung katibayan na talagang galing sa Region 3 yan, Mr. Go. Pangalawa ay maaari mo ba kaming mabigyan yung mga committee members, pati po yung ating mga bisita ng certified true copy ng katibayan nitong module na ito, Mr. Go?
Okay, Your Honor. Pwede kong padala sa inyo and then maliwanag naman po yung module na yan eh. Dinala yan sa akin ganyan na eh.
Okay,
And then
po,
maliwanag
ayun,
naman po yan. Ito po.
Ayan, makikita